Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right, episode 36 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Rik from Kinetic Print Co. in California. Let's go! Shirt show!
So yeah, GSF, our boy Frank.
Wait, hold on. I watched the last pregame and I realized, or not, what was it in the pregame or in the actual episode where you were like, oh, GSF screen stretched to perfection. And then you were like, easy way, chemicals that work to perfection. And I was like, we're just going to say everything's to perfection. That's what we should just say for every company now.
It's the truth. But a little tip about GSF, about how we get our screens, like the Shirkong way, the Shirkong package, I guess, is I order them with that sealant around the inside edge, like at that vulnerable spot of where the frame and the mesh meet. There's nothing funny about that, so cut it out. And what's good about that is it protects the that spot right there in case. Like that's just a spot where you're going to a lot of times tear your mesh, but also chemicals can't get in right there. And so yeah, that's the Shirkong little special tip. Do you have one? You have a tip for how you order your frames?
A special tip?
Yeah, I don't think so. You want to move on? Let's move on to.
Okay. Yep.
No, what do you got, Dylan? What you got?
Nothing. I call Frank and I say, I need more screens.
Yeah. And
he knows to give me the Shirkong package.
Ooh, that's what I wanted to hear.
I know. I was pandering.
That's what I was looking for. Okay. So Easy Way, like we've used Easy Way from day one. I opened this business with Easy Way in the shop. Like I turned on the
They were already
sign.
In there when you got in?
Yeah. Like I hit the open sign like minute one, hour one, day one, week one.
Alex was cowering in the corner when you opened it and turned
Year
the light
one.
on.
He was, yeah. Easy Way, done. That's what I've had since the beginning. And
do it right the first time.
Yeah, don't do it wrong. Okay.
Right. Do it right. Don't do it wrong. Easy Way.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we should put that on t-shirts.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna want to copyright that. Next up, we've got Monarch, and here's what I've got for Monarch. I mean, ink better, print better, be better.
Live better. Nike.
I actually took that from their website. That's what it says. Ink better, print better, be better. And I really like that. I thought about it a lot. I said, I do want better ink. I do want to print better. And gosh darn it, I want to be better.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, hey man, what's up?
Hey.
This lighting it matches almost like identical. Like, do you have LED lighting over there?
No, we have those like big shop lights that are like buzzing.
Just say yes. Just say yes and make us feel good.
And yes. Yep, we got LED lights going and fancy stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So what's going on? It's weird that we're doing this on a Saturday.
Yeah, changing up your guys' weekend plans.
Yeah, well, tomorrow's the Super Bowl and Andy might have to print a couple thousand shirts all night long. So.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Didn't matter to me either way. I kind of forgot football was happening this year.
Yeah.
Usually I know around my birthday is like Super Bowl time. So.
When's your birthday?
It was on Thursday.
Oh, I thought you were going to say today, and then I was going to sing happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday. Anyway.
Oh, thanks.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to still sing it? I mean, I'm sure he'd love to hear that.
No, that was my excuse to act like I was going to sing it, but I'm definitely not singing.
All right. Well,
you're like, it's my good out.
I see you've got a nice press back behind you there.
Oh yeah, our new to us ish Anatole.
Mm-hmm. I saw on your Instagram, would you guys buy it used and then put it together yourselves?
Yeah, we bought it from a guy up north by like 5 hours. It's like an 810 press. We went up there. We worked with autos before at our old shop. So we kind of knew how they worked, and then decided we're just going to take it apart ourselves. That way we could do it. Because you guys like, you need to pick it up this weekend and be great. So, all right. We rented a box truck the next day, went up overnight, went up and picked it up, and then kind of looked at, all right, this is pretty easy. We talked to Anatole a little bit about how to dismantle it, like how many parts there are. There's nothing crazy. And you guys like, oh yeah, you just need like 2 people to pull the arm off, and there's like 2 bolts that hold each head on. So all right, we got this. And then we just taped all the wires and like air lines and like said, okay, this one goes this one, numbered them all and everything.
Super
so that
smart.
way, and then on where all the bolt connections are on the arms and heads and stuff, we like drew little Sharpie marks to kind of make sure when we put it back together, we had it lined up in the right spot and made sure that it kind of registered together to give us a good starting line to install.
I do a lot of those things, and then I also take a picture of stuff. Like before I ever take anything apart, I just start taking pictures.
Yep. Or pictures so we can make sure. Yeah, it looks like
or
this.
I get
It's
it
the same.
fully apart, and then I realized, oh shit, I should have taken a picture.
So is this your first auto?
For our shop, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was that? How did that change your life getting that first auto? Because everybody, like when you're printing manually, that's like the most common thought or question is like, what's on the other side? When I get a first auto, what does it look like then?
It just like freed us up to do other things, like versus like I wouldn't say we had like that, people are like, oh, how much we have this much work to fill it up 8 hours a day. Yeah, there's only 2 of us. We don't have any employees or anything. So it's not like I can be printing 8 hours a day. Cause I have, the paperwork, invoicing, all the different things that go into running the shop. So we're like, all right, we need to figure out a way to start getting these jobs out faster. We also do like install work, like for graphic wall murals and stuff in downtown LA, which is like an hour away. And if that takes up a whole day, coming back and wanting to print on a manual press at night after doing that isn't that fun. But if you're like, oh, I just have to like 100 shirts to pop out on an auto, it's already set up, come home, pop them out, done. So it's just freed us up to do that. But it's one of those things, like as soon as we plugged it in, because we got it here, it took out the whole shop because we weren't ready for it right away. Because the guy we found it was just like, do it now. Then we had to run the electrical after we already got the stuff here. And then when we did that, as soon as we plugged it in, suddenly the amount of work that we had skyrocketed. I don't know why. It was just suddenly all of our customers started coming back to life again. And like our whole back area was just covered in boxes. Like if we had that manual right now, like we wouldn't be able to even handle that amount of work. It would have been pretty rough.
So go back a little bit though. You said that you guys both work at another shop before your shop, or how'd you get started, I guess?
Yeah. So when we got started, we both went to same university over here, and we both ended up working in like their little podunk print shop in the back of one of the campuses that all they had was like an HP wide format printer and a couple of Xerox printers. And so we did that for a little bit, but then our boss left. And then our boss above that was just like trying to find somebody to replace that person. And then my business partner decided, he's like, oh, you know what? I'm a senior. I'm going to be graduating in like 6 months. So I'll take the position. So then we both kind of worked together, like how to make the shop better, like bringing in better equipment, like vinyl printer stuff, things like that. And then as I got closer to graduating, my boss was like, hey, so we want to do shirts. Do you want to head up the shirt department? I was like, do I get a job if I just say yes? She's like, yeah. I was like, then yes, that's what I'm going to do. So then we ended up helping them build like an off-campus print shop to service the campus and the whole community in the area.
So was it like an on-campus thing that had to do with the school? It wasn't a separate business, or was it like its own thing?
It was owned by the university, but it had a different name. That way, when people drove by, they didn't just see like Azusa Pacific University on it. It was just a different name. So like, people would think anybody could go there. People wouldn't think like, oh, I'm not a student, so I can't go there.
Right.
So we helped them build that out.
Did the university use that shop for like education, or to print stuff for themselves, or to like custom screen printer, like for profit? I mean, why did they have this?
It was supposed to be for profit. So originally it was going to be like the first thing is called Graphic Center, was meant to mostly service just the campus. Like kids would come in, print out their papers, teachers would come in, print out whatever handouts they had. And then we would do some like banner signs and stuff like that. some posters, nothing big. And then as they wanted to bring it off campus, they wanted to be a revenue center. So then they wanted us to do custom work for the community, then also service a school. The idea was that we were going to do most of the school work, but there wasn't a rule that people had to use us. So we actually had to bid for school jobs. It was pretty fun to do that when it's like, oh, we have a 1,000 shirt job. All right, it's going to be this much. This guy off campus is going to charge us like 10 cents less per shirt. So we're going to go with him. All right, cool. And then I'd get in trouble for that.
I guess that's real then, like those are good lessons, if you're actually, working, like it's a real shop then, it wasn't just this thing that was set up and you, like you said, you had to go through there to get your shirts. No, you could go elsewhere. And so it was like, I don't know, I guess maybe it was, if you're trying to learn anyway, that's a good way. It's a good way to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Our boss gave us a lot of free reign to kind of be like, here, do this. This is your budget. And like, when we brought in screen printing, we started researching originals. She wanted to do direct to garment. And we looked at it and then went to another shop locally and looked at it and said, no, this isn't great for us to run a whole shop on. Even the guy was like, it's more like a add-on to our screen printing shop that we do for just onesie twosie things. Right. Just go do screen printing. So we got some used setup for like a Raynar setup that was like a 4-station, 1-color, had a exposure unit and like a little Raynar stamp dryer. And that was about it. So we started with that. No registration whatsoever on the press. It was like no adjustments. And then they were like, all right, so your first job's gonna be a 1,000 shirt job for the dining services. That didn't happen.
I'm
still learning. Yeah, I was like still learning like how all of it worked at that point. So that didn't happen. But then were you just doing
1-colors or were we doing multicolors?
That one we started doing multicolor stuff, but we realized real fast that press wasn't going to be able to handle it.
Right, so you ended up getting the flash back and forth.
Yeah, we got the Riley Hopkins 6.4, but it had the joystick registration on it.
Yep, I had that press.
Which was still like a big upgrade from that. But still, like we knew that we were going to be getting an auto because we were it was all student workers besides like me. And Sean running it. Sean ran the whole like wide format side. I ran all the screen printing side. And outside of that, student workers who worked in between their classes.
Right. So you were a full-time student there.
But at that point I'd graduated. So we were both the staff at that point. So once we became staff, we worked there for like 5 years.
What'd you go to school for?
Graphic design.
Oh, so it worked out a little bit, right?
Yeah. My first introduction to screen printing was one day I was like, need to fill up like one of my last classes. It was like one of the electives. And it's like, well, what do you want? I was like, I don't know, whatever screen printing is, I guess I'll take that. It's the only one that fits in the schedule. Showed up, no idea what even any of it was. And then they're like, here's your wooden screen, a piece of mesh and a staple gun. Have fun. So we had to staple together to get emulsion on there. It was like, pour a little emulsion on there, take a squeegee, pull it onto the screen. And then your final was like, oh, it needs to be a 4-color print. You only have one screen though. So have fun. If somebody used up all the emulsion because the class didn't have very much like money, then we were out of emulsion. So they taught us how like, oh, you can cut out a vinyl and slap that on there. I hated everything about screen printing at that point. And then 2 years later, I ended up getting a job. I was like, oh, if you have the right equipment, this is great. This is easy.
Yeah.
Like way nicer.
It's so funny that like all these universities and stuff that teach a screen printing class don't even have like the basic small shop setup that you would want. Like if you had it in your garage, like how do they not have that? How come it's always like the shittiest, like literally the worst thing? Yeah.
They had like one of those little boxes. It was like just big enough for like a 20 by 24 screen. And then you put like a foam and like a piece of felt over it. And I was like, that's your exposure unit. So once I went to work and like ran the screen printing spot off campus and then, had all the nice toys. Like when we got our New York, the NSP 3140, we didn't need that little fluorescent vacuum table one anymore. So we gave that to the screen printing department and then they're like, oh, great, cool. Now we can actually expose screens for the kids and stuff like that. And then they would bring that class like once a semester. We would do like a whole tour and like kind of show them the bigger picture of what they're doing, what you can do with it. and like how things work on a production scale and stuff like that. So then we started teaming up with like the professor. So that made
We do
it
that here too. It's
nicer.
been a while because of the pandemic, but yeah, we have classes come through and design classes. Normally it's not, there aren't a whole lot of screen printing options that I know of anyway, around here, but certainly there are a lot of design options. And so
I taught a Girl Scout troop once how to screen print. They came in, we printed tote bags.
we did a Yelp
Awesome.
event here once. We just hosted it and a bunch of people came by and everybody printed a shirt. I went to Art Mart. It's like it's an art. It's kind of like a Dick Blick. You guys have
Like
those?
an art mart.
Yeah. Yeah. We have
Yeah,
Dick
it's kind of
Blick
like
here.
an
That was the
Art
biggest
Mart.
one.
But there's Art Mart, Dick Blick. I think those are the only two art stores here. But we collaborated with Art Mart once, and we went live printed at their store, and everybody they mailed out coupons or whatever, and you just gave us a coupon, and you could print a shirt. And it's actually really hard. Like it's really hard to teach people in 1 minute how to print a shirt. I thought it would be
Yes.
easier, but it's not. I mean, some people walk up and knock it out. I shouldn't say that it was like everybody, but I would say at least half. It's a struggle.
I always thought about doing like a local thing, kind of like how they do those, like come eat food, drink wine or beer or whatever. And then just like, the painting things where like, oh, we're going to paint trees today. And then you just come get hammered and like
Little
paint
paint
some
night.
trees. You know what I mean?
Screen
Like I
painting
always
night.
thought about doing that, just being like, oh, we'll turn on loud music. We'll get like a couple cases of beer and wine or whatever. And then just like have a paid course of like 20 people and like walk them through the whole process from like design to print. And in the end, they get to print their own shirt and then like go home.
Right.
But I always thought
Have
that
a
would
food
be
truck
cool.
outside or something.
Yeah, just like even if you just grilled, like if it was summer and you were like, fuck it, let's just make a bunch of hot dogs and hamburgers and let people have a good time and just have people sign up like whatever it is, like $40 or something. They can come like make a shirt by the end and just have like a fun night. But
Yeah. I had
it's not like a
idea from
course where
somebody.
they would be like, oh, I fully learned how to screen print. It'd just be more of like a fun night to just hang out and print some stuff.
Somebody gave us an idea once. We were like, oh, just get like these really dark black pens and then just have like all the film laid out and then have like a little party where they can all draw their design.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then everyone goes slap them on. That we don't have to worry about, oh, do you know how to use Illustrator? Do you know how to use Photoshop or whatever? Just draw your thing, burn a screen. Cool. Go print your shirt real quick. So we thought about doing that, but
So how did you go from that place to, I guess you guys decided to go out on your own then?
yeah, over time, we're kind of like, all right, we're kind of outgrowing this ourselves personally. So it was time to kind of spread our wings and go about doing it without having certain bosses and going through like some of the university politic things that there were. So, but we had a lot of lessons of like how to run things now and how things work for after 5 years. So then we decided, let's do it. But we started off with only wide format since we moved into like a live work loft kind of thing. So we lived upstairs, worked downstairs. The kitchen was downstairs too. So we couldn't really do too much screen printing. It was pretty packed anyway. So we decided to do that, but then we would just kind of outsource screen printing as we kind of thought we could keep it in and kind of monitor how much we can keep doing, especially since that's like what I was good at. But we could both screen print, we could both you run wide format stuff, it's just we both have our specialties. So we did that for probably about 2 years, I think, running that, and then ended up the old shop decided to, when we left, they were like, we're closing down screen printing because they'd never trained anybody to do like a full-time process of that. So we had a Diamondback, we had Fusion Dryer, all that stuff. Like we wanted to take it, but we didn't have the space or the capital at the time. So like another like friend's shop, they were like, oh, we're looking to add another auto. I was like, go over there. You can hit them up and they'll probably be a pretty good deal. But then we were able to buy all of their manual equipment off of them later on because they still hadn't sold it and they were moving. So we bought the Riley Hopkins, that little stamp dryer they still had, and the New York exposure unit for really cheap. And then we bought our whole inventory of screens. So we never had to like buy any because a lot of them were still good when they left. So I just like ordered some, but they had been sitting there for like 2 years, just hanging out. I was like, well, this will be fine for now. I checked the tension on most of them. Like, all right, we're good. So then we moved out of that old spot because the spot we have now just kind of popped up and fell into our laps. We weren't really ready for it by any means, but it was like one of those, we need to move out of the space because the place we were in was like kind of a shady neighborhood, and this place was much nicer and customers were more willing to be here. So we ended up moving up here. That way we could open up and do all the screen printing here in house, and then just kind of slowly grew that more and more and more and more as we went along.
It's kind of cool that you knew about the screen printing and your partner knew about like the wide format stuff. Like, I feel like that's when partnerships work, is it's like you're not doing the same things. You both kind of head up different departments. So is that kind of how it is now still, is like he deals with that stuff? Yeah.
So like we both have a little bit of overlap kind of stuff. Like I have some customers who hit me up like, oh, I need these stickers or labels or something like that. And like, I might like set up the file or take in the job kind of thing. But now we're getting to a point where we have so much work kind of coming in and inundating us that we are like really kind of sticking like, okay, we need to make some kind of structure. Okay, here's all the wide format jobs. Like I'll help you if you need, like with some cutting or whatever, if you need to. I'm going to go do all the screen printing stuff, and he'll help me if like, hey, we need to get this job out. Can you help me unload? Or can you help me? Like, I'm not feeling too good, or he'll like wash up screens and stuff like that, you know, but like, yeah, he could run the press probably with a little bit of help. And like, same thing, like some stuff on on the wide format, like I can get stuck and be like, I have no idea what's happening. Or when we go, especially when we go to do like install work, if it's like really tricky spot, I'm like, dude, I don't know. Can you do this part, especially a car wrap or something like that? So
it's still just you two?
Yep. Still just us.
What is that like running? It's essentially two businesses. I mean, you know, screen printing and embroidery, it seems like go together pretty well. I know there's two completely different skills, but still they a customer may come in and order both. Does that same thing happen with wide format? Like you sell them both t-shirts and wide format, or are they completely different customers?
A lot of the same, because we do a lot of breweries. So that was like our big in. We originally moved in next to a brewery, and then they told their friends, and they told their friends. And we do like short runs of labels for them, like places that, like some of the big label printers are like, oh, our minimum is like, you know, 1,000, couple thousand, whatever. And then our turnaround is 2 or 3 weeks. So a lot of the breweries around here, they're like, no, we want like a short run of like 200, 300, 400, whatever. And we need them this week. Right. So that's where we came in. But now breweries also are doing all the merch too. So then they're like, all right, so we need an order for a special release, 250 labels, but we also need like 50, 60 shirts for the event, something like that. So then kind of just have a whole package deal go with it. We just got an embroidery machine with this press too. So we have that going now, but with the 3 of us. I mean, just 2 of us with the 3 machines.
I've always seen certain shops do that. And I think it's really smart if you do have that capability where like you can make marketing plans that are specific like that. If you're like, okay, you can get, you know, 50 tees, you could say 400 labels and, you know, 500 stickers for, you know, whatever the price is. And I feel like so many people can come and just be like, oh, I want a number 4. You know what I mean? And it's like, they just get that package, because it's kind of cool too. Like especially if you're a new company and you have no branding, no merch, no nothing, you can just be like, oh, I'll spend $1,000 and I'll get shirts, stickers, hats, like all one thing. It's easier for them to just be like, I want that, rather than what else do you have, or what can I do? Or they have to make up their mind. So
we were trying our best to be kind of a one-stop shop, but now we're like something like those, like a lot of the outsourcing stuff we just don't want to do. Like, oh, can you do cups or mugs? Unless like one of our bigger customers that just are always ordering everything else. And then they're like, oh, can I get some water bottles? All right, yeah, we'll work with you on that. But like when just a random person comes in, hey, do you guys print pens? No. Can we get postcards? No, we don't do that. But like the bigger customers, hey, we need 1,000 postcards. Yeah, we have the capability of people locally to help us, or like 4 over or something like that. Then we'll work with it, because then just more of a convenience factor, because we're trying to help them out. We don't make a ton of money on it, but it's keeping it all in the family kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that customer service for your big customers. Like you don't want to tell them no or let them down. So like you'll just, usually if it's something like that, or it's something random we don't do, I'll like try to find them a good connection. You know what I mean? Even if it's something completely random I don't do, I'll make some calls or ask some friends in the industry and be like, who's the best person for me to send them to? Just so that they feel like we help them facilitate that.
Took care of them.
Yeah, took care of them.
Like we didn't just say like, nah, dude, you're on your own.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's when we try to do. That's why we ended up getting embroidery. We only got a single head one because like we don't get a lot, but you know, some of our brewery customers, hey, we want to get some hats too with this. And we're like, sorry, we don't really do it. If we outsourced, it just wasn't worth it for us because no one is like across the street. They're like 30, 40 minutes away. So I don't want to ship it because everyone's always on a tight deadline every time. And then by the time I drive down and pick it up, I'm like, well, I only made like $10 after you count like my time of driving down there and coming back. So we decided, you know, we'll get a single head and it'll get our foot in the door. The guy was selling a 6-head one too, but we just don't even have the space for it. We're pretty much at the seams at the moment.
Yeah. So are you guys dealing with mostly like local business?
Yeah, for the most part, it's mostly local breweries around here. We have a couple like out in Utah that we work with and like up in Northern California. And then like all of our install customer stuff are in like downtown LA. Right. So that's the hard part about like, we think like, oh, if we move the shop somewhere, like, well, our like that install work makes us like really good money because the margins are really good on it. It's not like you can ship out install work unless you hire somebody like contract it out to install the work.
How do you guys manage that? Like I couldn't, like one of the biggest problems I have is just, and it's probably just the way my mind works is like, I have a really hard time doing like two things at once. So like if I'm in a flow in the day and I'm at my desk and like I'm doing emails, I'm getting shit done, I feel good. And then like a customer comes in or something and just wants to bullshit and talk to me for like an hour. I feel like the rest of my day is fucked. Like I always go home feeling like I forgot something or I didn't get something done I should have done. And I can't ever remember what it was, but I couldn't imagine being like, okay, like an hour of my day is emails. And then, oh, I have to go do an install and then I have to come back and then I have to like print some shirts and then do this other thing. Like, do you guys have like a flow of if you're like Mondays we're printing, Tuesdays we're installing, Wednesdays we're doing this, or do you try to break it up during the day?
Luckily with installs, we kind of do it. It's like that scheduling thing. So we can, we want these 3 walls installed at our place down in LA. All right, cool. We have time next week. So then we kind of plan our week around like, oh, Thursday, we know we're going to be at that building. So let's make sure everything gets done before that. So we don't really have to do that whole come back, do this, do that. And like you can kind of stay on that track. I mean, every once in a while, things get so stacked up where you can't really do much about it. You got to be like, all right, I'm going to either stay really late on Wednesday or we have to come back on Thursday, figure out things, make things work because that's the way shipping all the materials came in.
Mm-hmm. I think
we're slowly trying to figure out how to lay that out better because now we're starting to get a lot more install work all at once. And so it's taking us out of the shop more, which is making it kind of hard to keep up with the production.
Yeah, I think you and I, a while back, we were talking about, you know, the challenges of just having 2 people because of what you just said. You have, your partner needs help on an install. And so that takes you out of the shop. And so you're not printing and vice versa. So if you could add 1 employee, like right now, what would their role be?
Probably all the weird grunt tasks, like menial tasks that we just like take up so much time of our day. Like, like screen cleaning, when we do all the cutting for all the labels, like just sitting there babysitting the cutter for like 2 hours just takes out a chunk of your day. Cause it's not like you can just sit there and say, go and then leave for a while. You got to keep kind of like keeping an eye on it. Cause we made our cutter, it's like a Graph Tech plotter. It's not really meant to be doing roll labels, but we figured it out for our customers. They're like, we need these on rolls. All right, we'll figure out a way to do it. But it just takes so long. And then
so what's stopping you? Like, why don't you, how long have you wanted to hire somebody? I guess I should say, because that's always for us, and maybe the same goes for Dylan, after a certain point, like, okay, we just need to hire somebody.
We kind of thought about it. It was like in our minds, like thinking about what we wanted somebody to do back in like February, January last year. But they were like, we'll see what we want to do. Like when 2020 kicked off pretty well for us. We're like, oh, things are gonna be good. And then March came around and then good thing we don't have anybody working for us. Right. They took off a lot of that. But so we hoarded our cash, held everything, like not hiring anybody. It's not even in our minds now. And then, so we kind of floated through the year knowing that if we had employees, things would be different. Since we didn't, we just kind of kept making it work. And that's what we're still doing. It's like, all right, we're still comfortable right now. We're like paying off all of any loans that we had. We're just trying to do that. And then we can start figuring out when we want to have an employee, but we're still just kind of solidifying our processes still. Like, how would we communicate to certain employees, like, this is what has to be done? And we've been so used to doing this for like 3 or 4 years now by ourselves that bringing somebody into it, like, just changes kind of the dynamic
sure.
of how
I feel like that might hurt you though. Like if you wait too long, then you're gonna feel like that certain area of the business is like your baby or like your project. And then when somebody comes in and doesn't do it the same way you did it, you know, you kind of start to micromanage and you're like, no, actually do it this way. This is a little better. Like maybe now you're like, hey, there's this new, I feel like anytime we try to introduce somebody, it's when we're doing something new. That way I can train them as I'm learning about it or whatever. And then they kind of take over their own way of doing it. Yeah.
We have like a little bit of experience with it since we had like so many employees like doing that, working at that university. So our turnover rate was wild. So we know how to do it, but I think we're also a little traumatized since you're working with just like, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are just like making money in between classes. So you're just like, and you see like how easy it is for somebody to mess something up and just make a giant mistake. So we're like, I don't know, but it's in our minds right now. But as we're still kind of like wary about money, making sure that everything is good, that we are going to kind of keep sailing through. But
right now is a weird time for everybody, I feel like. So
yeah, I agree. It's a weird time. I mean, we're hesitant to hire a bunch of people too, but at some point, you have to say, especially in your spot, like you said, that person, how much can they mess up if they're just coming in and doing some of that stuff?
The finishing tasks.
Yeah. I mean, like how many hours a week would you say that you're working?
Generally stick to like 40 to 50. We really try hard to do it lately until December was pretty bad. The whole month was pretty much 12-hour days.
Every day or?
Pretty much. Yeah. There wasn't very many breaks because everybody came all at once. And those are the times where you're like, dude, it would be really nice to have employees. But then we have like slow months where I was like, dude, what would we do if we had somebody here? Like we'd be like,
that's definitely,
we can't pay you right now. So it's been such an like this for us that
maybe just try
here.
Maybe just try when you get the opportunity to just hire somebody for like summer help or busy season help. You know what I mean? And then if it rolls into winter and it never slows down, just never let them go. But at least you told them up front, like, hey, comes, like end of November, we might have to lay you off until like March.
Yeah. Somebody was telling us, cause like California have all these new like gig working laws and stuff like that. So like that rolled it into like us, like we can't be like, oh, hey, you want to work for us for 2 weeks where it's our busy season? They're like, oh no, you're going to have to like hire them on as like full on employees and like the whole shebang, not just like, oh yeah, work for us for, 2 weeks or whatever. And then we'll 1099 you. They're like, no, you're gonna have to full on hire them. And I'm like, oh, workers comp and all that fun stuff.
I do that. I mean, that's pretty much what I always have to do is I always have to like fully put them on payroll, pay all the taxes, pay everything. But we've done that before, definitely, where like we've had people from, like I said, like March, April to November. And then we're just like, all right, we'll see you in the spring. Like there's no reason for me to have like be like, I need to have 15 people all year long. It's like, no, I have, 8 people I know do core jobs that we can get by doing everything with. But when it gets crazy and there's so much shit to do or we need extra hands, it's like, all right, let's hire like 2 or 3 people just for that season.
Yeah. The biggest one is like catching stuff off the dryer. Like we just let it go in the box and you have to do like the worst part of the whole process to me is just, all right, I have this big box of shirts that are just piled in here. All right, now it's small, medium.
Right. That it sucks to do that, but like you could also like hire a kid like after high school.
Yeah.
And just be like,
this is what you're doing.
Right. And we've done that before too, where we've had a couple employees that in the summertime we didn't hire for some reason or just couldn't find a good employee to do that. And we were like, all right, let's get this high school kid who's just looking for money, like, after school and over the summer, and just be like, all right, well, when you get here at like 2:30, there's like, 10 boxes of shirts that we printed this morning that are just like all piled in. And then everything for the rest of the day, like they're taking off the dryer. So their whole job is to just like fold and get everything ready for shipping.
I don't know. I look at it like this. We've never hired any high school or temp or anything like that, because here, high school, by the time you're out of class and actually over here from your school, it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, and we're closing in an hour or so. And so we're closed. Generally, we're closed on weekends, and so that's not going to work. Summer help. By the time you've worked through the summer, and you're ready to go back to school, that's about when you're decent and you know what you're doing. And so now I'm going to lose you after I trained you. And so I think of it like this. If you were to hire and commit to somebody, and it would be like an assistant or an apprentice, like an apprentice or something, and they understood that coming in, and you would say, okay, here's your compensation coming in, and your training basically. And then when you hit this spot in 90 days or whenever, you can make anything up you want in 6 months, and I'll certify you, and here's your certification. Like, you actually can do this stuff. And then your compensation will adjust it upwards. Well, that's incentive for them to learn it, And so when you're busy, they're there and they're doing these things that, like, these basic tasks, right? And when you're slow, well, then you train them on other stuff, It costs you, right? Like, you have to pay for them, even though you don't have all of this revenue coming in, and you have to not send them home, but have them there, but say, hey, come with us on this install. If all they maybe love that, and they can assist your partner in installs, and then you don't have to leave. I mean, it costs, I think, at first, but if you've got the right person, a few months in or 6 months in, or maybe 9 months, whenever that is, you've got somebody that can do all of that stuff. And then you can focus on other stuff. You could focus on either, business development or some sort of marketing or whatever. I mean, that's the way I've always looked at it, because if I'm the one that's, weeding out after we cut something, like that was maybe something you do. If I'm stuck weeding, then I'm not going out and getting new business, or I'm not working on other bigger picture things, like macro things that maybe help my business 10 times. Don't get me wrong. I weed stuff too, or I clean screens, and I'm stuck on the press or whatever. I shouldn't say stuck on the press, because I like it, but I'm stuck doing other things. Like, I'm doing things that maybe I shouldn't be doing. I think that to myself sometimes, like, wow, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be working on other things, like growing the business, but I don't want to be at that moment. Like, I really like it.
I mean, it's still your business, and you want to do things that you like to do.
Exactly. I know on Thursday.
If you like printing, I'm like,
I want to print, like the very first t-shirt I fucking printed this week was on Thursday afternoon. And I actually said that to the guy that was assisting, because I jumped in. So the guy who was running the press needed to output something, because he's really good at sepping, like sim process stuff. And so he couldn't run the press. And so I jumped in for a minute, and I actually thought about it and said, and I had a conversation with the press assistant. I was like, this is the first shirt I've printed all week, and how ridiculous that is, but so I don't know. I mean, what do you think of that? You committing to somebody, because what is that per week? If you're giving somebody, I don't know what California, it's probably different as far as.
California, that's the biggest thing. Like, when we left our old job, when we hire somebody, we want to make sure we can pay them because it's all specialty stuff. It's not just entry level work kind of stuff. We want to make sure, we can pay them good and all this, because we've been on the end where it's like, man, we're doing all this work and we're not getting paid that level for that amount. And now, our minimum wage here is just, I think it's at $14 right now.
Okay.
So it's like, all right, so I'm going to bring in somebody at $14, but I want to be able to pay them more than an entry level job eventually, So, all right. So now what's the fair? I was like, what's the fair compensation to what I can pay you that makes it seem like it's like you're doing a specialty job, therefore you should be making more money than the minimum.
They don't have a skill at first. They
didn't learn that skill yet. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to teach them. You're going to teach them a lifelong skill, so 14, we don't have anybody here, and we're in St. Louis, and which is way different than California. We don't have anybody here making less than $14 an hour, and so I could say this though, that when you come in, if you don't know, what's wrong with saying, look, initially, that kind of what I said a minute ago is initially here, we're bringing you in at 14, but we understand that that's a tough wage to live on. And we want you to succeed here. We want you to be able to make this a career if you want. And so the opportunity to grow is absolute, and it's here. And here is how you do it. I think that's very fair, because they're coming in not knowing the business. It's very different if you hire somebody that's experienced and like, hey, I got 5 years as a screen printer, well, then of course you don't want to pay them $14 an hour, you know?
Do you guys like hiring brand new, don't know anything about it, or bringing somebody in with experience?
100%.
Which would you like?
The first one, brand new, don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dylan?
I don't have a choice. I don't have anybody around that knows jack shit about screen printing. So everybody I hire knows nothing about it. And we just have to train them. But I feel like that's a blessing too, just because they are not jaded. They weren't taught something incorrectly, and they feel like they're not
bringing their bad habits.
Right. They're not bringing bad habits. And it's kind of nice to be like, oh, this is the way this should be done. And like actually like showing them and training them the right way. So, but like I said, that's also a bad thing because it's a longer, waiting time to get them trained to where they can do shit on their own, especially like a press operator. It's like you get somebody off the street that knows nothing about screen printing at all, never manually printed, never fucking done anything with a t-shirt. And you're like, hey, you're going to run this automatic press and you're going to run 1 colors up to 10 colors. And you're going to do pockets and discharge and left chests. And you're going to have to adjust things and pressures and angles and all this other stuff. It's like, they don't
at the same time. You're like, here's a squeegee. Do you know what this is?
Right. And it's like, you're not going to fully understand how to do all those things until like a year and a half in. And then it's like, but you have to hope that person sticks around and likes what they're doing enough to be there for a year and a half. So it's like, I'm finally going to get some return on investment after that year and a half. And if you find out in a year and a half, that's usually when an employee's like okay enough to be there, but then they really start to realize what they want to do in their life. And then they end up leaving. And it's like, cool. I can't wait to start this all over again.
Yeah, that's what we did when we worked there. Cause we had, the max you're going to have with somebody was 4 years max.
Right.
And then, and everybody was brand new cause they were, 18, 19 years old. Well, not even like barely any job experience. So you're just like, you have nothing to go off of like, how are you going to be? No clue.
Yeah.
Just show up and we'll figure it out, I guess. And then as soon as they start getting good, they're like, oh, it's my senior year. I got this stuff. And I'm gone.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably train somebody faster, but like, I feel like I want somebody to be like, I know how to do this process. You know what I mean? Not like I learned, I kind of know what it is. Let's move on to the next thing. Because then I feel like they're going to make way more mistakes. It was like, if we had a press operator, it's like, okay, first thing you're going to do is you're going to shadow the guy who's been here forever. Like you're going to pull shirts, you're going to learn how to run the press, whatever. And then we're just going to have you on your own press. And then you're going to print 1 to 2 colors. And then eventually after a couple months, it turns into, or not, maybe a month, you're like, all right, let's do left chests. Okay. Let's do pockets and sleeves. And eventually, they learn everything, but it just takes so long.
I just kind of threw them into the wolves. I'd be like, all right, this is it. Like you're the only one here. You're the only one here. So it's you and me. And if I get called to a meeting, then it's only on you. So figure it out. And then people who work during the summer, and I was like, see, they would be the ones working full time for the summer. Mm-hmm. Instant, like they would just go like that. Like they'd get it, they'd figure it out. No one had a job that was like, you only work in the dark room. You only work here. It's like, you work all the different spots. So that way you get to see start to finish, all that stuff. Do you guys have people working just one spot? Like you work reclaim, you work
all of them for me.
This just no crossover.
Yeah. I mean, I think that mostly they have one role, but they also have been cross-trained. Sometimes like deliberately we try and just cross-train, somebody, or other times they, it's just because we have to, like maybe there's somebody's not here or somebody leaves or somebody moves and we've all of a sudden a position opens up. And when that happens, when you have enough people, then you start to look at like, do I want to promote, or maybe it's not a promotion, but just like, do I want to plug somebody in from within, or are we going to look to hire somebody new? And I've had a person that, like, for example, trying to think, I have a girl that started here at the dryer, and then she moved to shipping and receiving, and she became a shipping and receiving manager. And then she moved to invoicing. Like we just taught her how to invoice because we needed an additional person invoicing. And then the embroidery manager moved, and I just said, like, you're you're good at all of these things. And what do you think about embroidery? And she says, yeah, I want it. And so she went and took, she had never really ran embroidery either, but she went over and became an embroidery manager. And why that was great is because she can invoice. She already knows shirts because, she caught at the dryer and she was in shipping and receiving. And so she knows all shirt styles and all these kind of things. And so she just moves over to embroidery. And now I know she has to pick up that skill, but there were other people there to show her, but she was a really good leader. And so I wanted her to manage that department, really organized person. And she wanted to, that was fun for her. It seemed like she was growing all along. And so, so she's cross-trained. In other words, if we're super busy and we need a project, or if something that's happening tomorrow when we're printing for this hot market thing, she's coming in and helping at the receiving, I guess, shipping part. She's packing everything, and she's really good at that. And so I think it's a really, it's a bonus, when you have somebody that comes in and can do more than just one thing, that's for sure, because they can fill in when a spot, it's like they're hurting, or they can go support an area of the shop that's really busy all of a sudden, because it just comes in waves through the shop, So I think though that in your case, it's probably more of a person that would do many things. They'd wear more than one hat, Yeah, because, it's just your first person really. And they would come in and they would shadow you. For the first week, they're probably just hanging out and shadowing you. That's what we do
just
here.
Hang out. Just don't break anything. It'll be cool. Just enjoy the vibe with us.
Yeah. And some people, sometimes they break stuff, or they'll offload. I guarantee you that the person that you hire and as a press assistant, they're going to offload shirts for you. I guarantee you they pull shirts wrong, or, they pull
just
a shirt that
touches.
We hired a guy and he had always done screens or whatever. And then the very first time we asked him to help pull shirts on press, he pulled the very first shirt off and laid it ink side down on the dryer.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. I swear, hand.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he laid it ink side down.
And what did you do? What was the?
I didn't see it personally, but I heard from everybody else that works here that day about it.
Yeah.
Do you do it on purpose, or just jittery and just?
No, he just figured that's yeah, it's this is the machine that cooks the shirt. Obviously, you put the ink. You put it in his mind. That's what made sense.
So there's a light down there or something like that.
And it was just dude, no.
He was breathing in a few too many chemicals.
Right. We weren't using Easy Way back then.
But I guarantee it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They will pull shirts. If you're in revolver mode, they're going to pull a shirt early, guaranteed.
So I hate revolver mode because I get in that mode and I'm like, oh no, that was too early. Damn. All right,
yep. I still do it, but I guarantee you they'll do it, and they'll do it pretty quick. And generally they feel bad. They do. They're like, oh man, I just messed up a shirt, and they don't want to do that.
I do that all the time. I definitely do it. They asked me to come out and help pull shirts on certain jobs. And I definitely have done that before, and it happens. But my favorite thing to do is that they're so in the zone and printing a job that when one comes back around, I reach over I'm going to pull it off, and you see their fucking heart drop, and they're just they're like, no. I don't know. I'm just yeah, I'm just I act like I'm leaning forward to pull the shirt, but then I just look to see if there's pinholes or something. And it's just I do that to Randy all the time, and I could tell every time his face just goes blank, and he just looks at me I'm going to fucking kill you.
Smack your arm no.
Right.
Don't touch it. What would be a cool feature on the press is when that pallet comes around, the one that you're not supposed to pull, it flashes, or you know what I mean? The light. Yeah. It just strobe lights, LED, all different colors. And so you don't pull.
Well, it's just funny too. I don't know how it is on the Anatol, but on the M&R, they have, the arms are coming around, and at the very end of the pallet arm is a number, but it's such a small little yellow sticker that has the number on it. I'm why are these not fucking 2-inch circles with a number in it? Why are they so small?
They're pretty small.
I'm constantly
so I ended up going on Amazon and buying vinyl reflective 1.5-inch circles with numbers on it, and put them on the press, just because I know from experience of not being on press all day, that when I go out and help, like I need to see what number I'm on so I don't accidentally pull the wrong shirt. Like I need to see 1 when it comes around.
You know what we do now is so we always start on 1, and that's where the tri-lock block is.
Yeah.
You know, that yellow block. And
That's what we do
so
too.
we always start on 1, and it helps, but still you get, you have
in
your
the zone. You're like looking down,
Yep.
and you're just doing it.
Mhm.
Especially if you just got done running another job that was just straight around. You're just pulling
Well,
on.
back to what you were saying though. I think it's really beneficial though to, if you do hire somebody to, like you're saying, cross train them and everything else.
Oh,
But
I
like,
want to cross train. I like that.
but the thing is if you get them trained on something, it definitely helps with the higher jobs they get into. Like, yeah, you could hire a guy to clean screens or to manually print or whatever. Like a good example I have here is Brian, because Brian's been with me like for the full like 11 years now. And he was a printer for a really long time. And then it turned into, I was doing sales and I was doing SEPs. Like I was doing all the art SEPs and everything. And then it got to the point where I couldn't handle that anymore because I had too much shit to do and I needed to push it off. So Brian decided he wanted to take that job on, and we just hired another printer. But the best thing I could have done was that, because Brian knows, like, you know, how certain colors print and what's going to have dot gain and all these things as a printer you would want to know on press. He takes that fully into account with doing the SEPs, because he knows, you know, oh, maybe I should, you know, adjust the levels on the red, because if I don't, this is how it would print. You know what I mean? Like anything he does, he knows as a printer, oh, this is the correct print order. You know, he doesn't have to just be an art guy that like has no idea. He's just like numbers them all, and the press guy has to figure it out. He's like, no, this is the print order. This is, you should put a flash here or whatever. And it's just, it's nice to have that person who was trained in 2 different things.
Do you guys do all your simulated like process steps in house?
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Yeah. So Brian does all that, and he does most of them by hand. But like I said, it definitely benefits to know like certain inks, the way they're going to print and all that other stuff for that guy.
I handle all the separations right now, except for like, and it's too much of a simulated stuff. I'm still not like perfect at that, or like really good. So like some jobs, yeah, but then other ones, we send them out real quick, and they get them the next day. And
I know it's like,
enough to tweak them.
I know it's circumstantial, and you're kind of looking at a job and being like, I guess I'll send it out. But you really should try to do as many as possible and fuck up a bunch, because that's how you get really good at that. Is like, oh, on that last job, if we would have adjusted this color a little bit, it would have been better. And then the next time you do it, you add that tweak into your arsenal of like, I know this will make this print better. I know this will make this print better. Like it took us, a couple of years for sure to like get really confident in it. But then we do a job that has like 2 good examples that pop into mind are like flames and skin tones. So like when you do flames, it was like the first couple of times it was like kind of like broken up a little bit. They didn't blend super well. And then we're like, oh, let's add more yellow and white to it. And then we kept doing that. And then eventually we got it to where we could simulate process like flames like super well. We ended up winning like one of the impressions awards for like a fire truck design we did with like flames coming out the side. And it was just like, we were proud of that, of like, we fucking dialed in flames.
I never knew that. That's so cool. Why isn't that on the wall behind, of one of like framed behind by one of our?
I have it in, I have a stack of magazine articles we've been in that I want to put in the hallway. But yeah, it's like that. And then, like I said, skin tones, it's like, okay, we know if we use this tone, like generally in a face, you're like, oh, we want to use at least like 3 or 4 shades of that skin tone, instead of just having that person be like brown or peach or whatever. And it's like, you only learn that from doing one job, and you're like, that doesn't look great. Like it's good. The customer's going to like it, but we know we could do a little bit better. And then the next time you do that better.
We don't get too many simulated stuff here. I think I've sent out 1, maybe 2. And then the other ones are like, I can handle.
Right.
Like we did one this week that had us 7 colors, I think, in it. Just this giant gradient of stuff that was going on in it. So just haven't played around too much. I used to use Separation Studio back at the other shop.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it too much. It got the job done.
Right.
But then now I can look at a shirt. I think we only did this couple, but I can look at a shirt and be like, oh, that was done with Separation Studio. It wasn't like an actual.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people that do that.
Color happen.
Right. There's a lot of people that do that. They get that program or whatever it is for SEPs, and they just hit the button, and they're like, these are the SEPs I'm going to use. Like, oh, I have an 8-color press. Let me condense the blues. Let me condense the greens, and that's what I'm going to print. And it's like we literally use a program just to get the initial like 16 color SEP out of like a photo. And then Brian manually does everything from there, like tweaks literally every single one of them, like does a ton of stuff that's just comes with experience. So a lot of times when we see a job come in that's like this cool process, a lot of times it's like a challenge. We're like, fuck yeah, like let's make this look cool, or let's like be proud of like the end result. So it's always funny, like we print a job like that. Brian, you can always tell like that day is like eyeing the schedule to see when they're going to print it. And he like goes out on press and like holds it up and he's like, I'll check out this, how this came out. And it's like, that's good, what's fun about screen printing. It's just like, that's the fun part. It's just like making cool shit from stuff you didn't know if you could do.
I've been doing that lately. We had like one job where we printed it and I was like, and while I was separating, I was like, in theory, this should work. From what I know of how like this ink is going to work on this shirt, it should work. It was like this print with like a pinup girl, and it had different blues, reds in there and all these different shades. And I was like, we only have an 8-color press and this is like 10. So we started just dropping off like, okay, the blue doesn't sit on the underbase here.
Right.
That'll get all that stuff and get all the tones to it. And I was like, cool, that'll work.
That's one of the best things too about having like an 8-color press for so long is that we got really, really good at making things look awesome at 6 colors. So like we did that for 10 years or whatever, where we like every job we had in that we could make work at 6 colors. We did every trick in the book, like halftones, dropouts, underbase, no underbase, whatever, went on wet, certain things to make it look really good at 6 colors. So then when we got the opportunity to get the G3, it was like, now we're kind of, what's the word I want to use? We have it easy now because we're like, oh, we have 14 colors to mess with. So like there's jobs where I get them all the time where Brian shows them to, he's like, what do you want to do with this one? And he's like, I could probably make it work at 6, but realistically we have the option to make this like a 12 color. And it's like, well, just fucking make it a 12 color then. Like if you can save the customer money and it's still going to look great, we're not cheating or we're not trying to get away with something, then it is an 8. But if it needs 10 colors, do 10 colors.
So do you like tell your customer like, hey, we can do this with 8, but it will
give
look
them the
better
option.
It'll look better at 12. Here are the price differences.
Yeah.
Which way do you want to go? Let us know before we start.
Yeah, we do that. We do that quite a bit actually, because like I said, it depends on the customer. If they're a designer or a clothing line or a brand that just wants it to look flawless, then it's like, okay, they're going to go with like, it's a 12-color print. It's a 12-color print. But if it's a band that just has cool art, but they have no fucking money, then we're like, we can make this look really cool. Like nobody's going to complain about this at all as a 6-color. But if you want it to look exactly like this graphic that you sent us, it's going to be like a 10. But then we give them the price and they're like, let's do this 6. And it's like, okay, well, we'll do it as 6 then.
The amount of times I have to like take somebody's like artwork and they're like, oh, 50 shirts, but 6 colors. I'm like, here's the price. Okay, what if we take it down to 2?
Right.
All right, there we go. Most of our stuff is like in the 50 to 200 range.
The thing is realistically with a lot of this stuff in marketing is, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to like make a design that's like really cool art, or are they trying to just sell shirts? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like
finding that
they need to look at it as they know in their mind right off the bat, like I'm selling the shirt for $25. Like they're not taking into account what shirt they're using, how many colors it is, whatever. So if you're just like, all right, well, if you're a band, the best thing you could do is make a shitload of really cool 1-color prints. You know what I mean? Like you don't need this to be a 10-color. Like, yeah, that would be cool, but realistically, you're not going to be able to sell that shirt for $40 at a show.
Yeah, you're going on tour. You need money.
Right. If you're a shit band, you're second on the ticket, you're selling that shirt for $25. Why don't you just get like, a next level 3600 with a really cool one color print on the front, spend like $6 and sell that shirt for 20 and make $14. Like, don't get a next level 3600 with a 6 color front, 6 color back, and you had to spend $12 on that shirt. Like, you're losing money. Like, Joe is going to freak out in the back of your van because he can't eat for 3 days because you decided you needed that 6 color front, 6 color back. It's like,
and then the reality
look at all the other
is that,
hardcore shirts.
They're going to buy that shirt regardless, like you said, if it's one color or if it's 6 color.
Right. If they like your band, they're going to buy it.
Right.
Yeah. Like, was it like the 2010 era where everybody had like the giant overprint? It was like just crazy, or like all the data member stuff that just had thousands of colors, and you're just like, whoa. And
when we first started
the late 90s, you have terror, or not, hardcore bands that have like just
one color
block letter. Back of the shirt is just some, not even half tones. It's just like a posterized thing of them with like their hand out in the crowd, some kid jumping over, and just like, I can kind of tell what it is. And we bought them up, and they made lots of money.
so much. Yeah. And that's like when we were doing the band versus when I started Upstate. Like, the difference in those years is when I was in the band, that's how it was, is every shirt was a one color, like across the chest. Same thing, like you just said, like a hardcore shirt, like one color front, one color back. Like, everybody for a while was doing like navy blue shirts with like gold print on it. And then it was just like, when I started Upstate and I was in Georgia there for those couple of years, everything was fucking oversized. Like, it could be the dumbest design that you would not need it to be oversized. It was 15 by 22, like full front of the shirt, as many colors as possible. So when we started Upstate, it was like we were constantly maxing out our press and constantly maxing out oversized. And I'm so glad that nowadays the trend is left chest and back.
Yep.
Like a left chest and a 10-inch back is like in right now.
We did a shirt for a band the other day that I still have no idea what it was. Like, what the graphic is. I looked at it, I stared at it for 10 minutes, and I asked her, I was like, what is that exactly? Nobody knew. And then you can kind of see some horns maybe in there. I'm pretty sure it was, but I still don't know what it is.
You sent the approval, and they said, yeah.
They're like, this is what we want. It looks great. And I don't know what it is, though. And it had their name in there at the bottom.
My favorite is when a band, and we used to get this all the time back when we were like really into doing band stuff, is they would send you a design that didn't have their band name in it at all. Like, it was just like, we had this one where I can't remember what the band was. It was like a dude. It was like a one color halftone image of a guy sitting next to a campfire in a forest. And it showed like the guy, the campfire, and then like the like glowing in the trees of like the campfire, but there was no band name at all. And we told them like multiple times, we're like, are you sure you don't want your band name in this anywhere? Like, it makes no sense for you to get this with no band name. And then like 3 weeks later, after they got the shirts, they were like, is there any way we can send these back to you? And you could just like put our band name under the picture. I was like, why didn't you fucking listen to this the first? Like, who's going to buy this? This makes no sense. And it's just
so
like,
we're trying to tell some of the breweries, like, they'll put like some of their like graphics on there. We're like, yeah, or there'll be like a acronym for their brewery name or something like that. I'm like, you're not like Stone Brewing or like these big guys.
You're not Nike.
You should probably put like, you can put your symbol on there on a sleeve or something, but then like, put your actual name, because it's a walking marketing piece.
Yeah.
No, all right, whatever.
I get that a lot with because we do a ton of stuff for like comedians, and they always come up with like a funny joke or a funny shirt, and they're like, oh, put this on a shirt, but they never say like, put my name on it. You know what I mean? It could be like for a specific comedian. And I always say like, well, maybe you should like put your name on the back, or put your name, like have the graphic, but like maybe in like a 2.5 inch like piece under the graphic, just put like your name, or like set
something
by
that says
something, like have something on there that has to do with you. Because if you're walking in LA down the street and some dude passes you with like a funny saying on a shirt, like they have no idea that it's connected to that comedian in any way. Like they're just like,
it's like one of those weird Kohl's
right
but saying graphics on it.
Right. It's
right,
like,
whatever.
just, you need to do some kind of logo or branding.
But if you know, you know, and if you follow that comedian, and then somebody does recognize you, say, oh, and then it's like a special cult.
Keeping that little club,
Yeah.
inside shirt.
I just feel like with these guys, they're trying to get their name out and they're trying to do this. And I know that that's what they're trying to do. So it's like, maybe we should do this in some way. I mean, it's their shirt. And in the end, if they're like, no, I don't want my name on it, then fuck it. We're not putting their name on it. But I always try to give them that nudge. Or I'm like, maybe you should do this.
So I've got something I'm trying this week. We're going to use a new implementation. I wanted to run it by you and see what you guys think. So have you ever heard of Twilio?
Twilio. I have not.
Twilio. Yeah. So maybe you don't need to, because maybe you can use it some other with maybe you have this function already or this feature already within the software you use. But currently how we send out proofs is we email them, and that's pretty effective. I mean, it works. Obviously we won't run a job until we get approval back, and we still run our jobs. But what happens sometimes is that with certain people, we're waiting. We send out an email, and there's some people that don't check emails every day, or whatever email address they gave us. Maybe it's not their work email, maybe like a personal email or something, and they don't check it every day. And so it could delay their order. And a lot of times it really kind of falls on us, because really it just delays us maybe able to make the screen and print a shirt, because their due date is still their due date. Like they need them on Friday, and we're waiting for approval, and we just don't get it quick enough. So we thought about, like, how can we get it faster? Because most people, like for me, for example, I don't have email notifications on my phone. I don't have it turned on. I have that off because it would just be too much, right? But I have text.
Drive you crazy.
Yeah, drive me crazy. And so, but I do receive texts, and I have that notification. And so what Twilio does is you can send things out in a text instead, or not just instead, but both. Like you can send them an email and also send a text. And you can do it. It's an integration within Monday. We run like a production schedule in Monday. So it's an integration for Monday. But you can also use it for with Front or Missive if you're using that for your on top of Outlook or Google or whatever you may do. It integrates in there too. But I guess my question is do you send out text? Like, do you send out your proofs, or even like an invoice, to get a deposit? Do you send out those invoices through email or text, or both?
Invoices all go out through email, through QuickBooks. We send them all there. Most proofs go through email to the people. And then we have a pretty big core group of customers that all have like our cell phones and stuff like that too. And they'll text us things. So then if I don't hear back from them within that day, I'll text them, hey, sent over the mock-up. Take a look at it whenever you get a chance. And like, oh shoot, yeah, I'll look at it right now. So a lot of it's just like give them a quick text reminder for a lot of them. And if I don't do that, then I'll have to just send them like a re-email, like, hey, just checking if you've seen this. And then if they haven't paid an invoice, something, then we'll call them or text them, like, hey, do you have an invoice there and you get paid so we can get this going or get it rolling?
I'm the same as you. I pretty much email everything. And then there's a lot of customers I'm close with that I usually text or send a message on Instagram or whatever. But I actually just did like a walkthrough with Marcotte the other day on Printavo stuff. And that was one of the features that they have that I was like, that'd be super handy. Cause like as soon as you finish the invoice and send them the mock-up and everything, it automatically texts them and emails them. And then they have the option on the phone to hit like an approve button that like sends it back to you and everything. So I thought that was really cool. Cause I do have that problem too. Like we have certain customers that are like big contractors or something. And like they're out at a job site all day and they never get back to their email. But again, they're always like, oh, I'd love to have these next Wednesday. And then it takes them like 4 days to get back and say they approve it when we could have had the approval, 3-4 days ago. So I do think it's pretty awesome either way. I mean, if you're using that service that you have or Printavo or whatever, I do think that's kind of the way of the future is just getting it in their face as soon as possible to even just an invoice to like make a purchase, you know what I mean? Like they might let it sit in their inbox forever. But if you're like poking them with text too, and you're like, hey, your invoice is available now to pay if you want.
Yeah, get taken care of so we can.
You know how much Twilio cost per text?
Is it like half a penny or something?
Yeah, it's 0.0075.
Yeah, that's what Matt was telling me is like you have to like, I don't know, kind of like pay for a side service or something that allows it to connect to your phone. And he told me it was like, you know, super fraction of a penny or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's totally worth it. I mean, if it just, you know, does those things like speeds up our approval process, and then also we're able to get a. I mean, it's so often we're waiting for we send the email, just like you said. We use QuickBooks also, and so we'll send out that QBO, that invoice, which has that link, you know. But if you could send that same thing through a text, where they can just, you know, hit that link and pay right there on their phone. I mean, I think it's going to really speed things up here because it's just there's so many delays. You know, we have actually a like a signature that's written for this very thing. So when we're approaching their due date, you know, like if we've sent out that email for that proof or that email for a payment and we haven't heard back for 48 hours, we have a signature that we've written that we just automatically send it to them, so that we're not like pressuring them, because once it happened, we're like, hey, we're not getting, you know, we need that proof. Here's your due date. And somebody was like, you know, you're pressuring me. I can't decide. I have to show my partner too or whatever. And just like, hey, you know, and so it's not like we want that. We don't want you to get stressed out because, you know, you have to approve this thing. So if that's the case, then let's just move your due date, you know, no rush, you know, like we're not trying to rush you. It's just that if your due date is this, then we need an approval. And if you're not like, in a rush for it, well, let's just move your due date out. So we have that
so we try and
signature.
put it in their court for that. Like, hey, we're waiting for this. Oh, you know, I'm trying to get to it. We're gonna do this. I was like, oh, that's cool. We just want to make sure we hit your deadline. Like, we're trying hard to work for you. So just let us know as soon as you can, so that way we don't have to like adjust your deadline, because eventually, the physical world makes it change. So you know, it's no pressure.
I think for us, it's super important to kind of get something like that in place though anyway, because a lot of our customers are like, you know, bands or comedians or any kind of person putting on a show where, you know, they give us the artwork for a specific event and we have to have it shipped to California or Florida for a date. Right. You know, it has to be at the venue at that date. So if I can get everything like fully taken care of, invoice paid, artwork approved, everything now, then I know I'm going to have way better chance of getting everything done by that date. So, yeah, I feel like it's super important. Everybody should look into doing something with it for sure.
We got it built out in just under a day, and we're testing it, and we haven't fully implemented it yet. Like
you said, it works with Google, or it only works with like a couple programs?
Yeah. So I guess you'll have to go. We don't use Google for our scheduling.
Right. Well, you're using Monday, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, and there's this thing, we want to have this new, like internal communication system. And we looked into Front and we built out Front, right? Have you guys heard of Front?
I have heard of it. Yeah.
It goes on top of Outlook or your Google Suite or like your Gmail. And it's just, it looks kind of like Slack almost. But it's really expensive per user. It was like $50 for what we wanted to use it as. It's $50 per user. And that's going to be times, we had like 16 people that were going to be on it or something. So super expensive. We found though Missive, it's called, we built it out and we actually like it better because it looks kind of like this. So it looks like your normal email. Like we do a lot of our work in Outlook and it looks like you can put it on top of Outlook and it looks like that. And then below there's just like a chat. And so you can be, you know, like, let's say I get an email that I need to forward to somebody. Well, I can forward it to them and I can chat about it like down there by tagging them and then also tag somebody else and bring them in on it, you know, and they can all view this email or even not just the email, but like the email trail and everything. And so it's really cool. And for us anyway, because we have so many users, it makes sense. It's more affordable. But and so you could build it on top. It can integrate into Monday, or it can integrate into something like Missive, and I can imagine it can integrate into like your Gmail or your G Suite or whatever you're using now. Twilio. Just texting. Yeah, I mean, I think there's other options too, but that's the one that we found that would work for us in a way that we like.
Right. That makes sense. So what are you doing for fun when you're not printing nowadays?
Being in California, not much to do. Everything's shut down still, pretty much. We go snowboarding. I got like a smoker around Memorial Day, so I've been doing that on the weekends. Just play around and using that. Gives me something to do all day.
I have one that's sitting in a box in my garage that I'm really waiting for summer to like make a spot next to my grill for.
Yeah.
Have you tried anything like brave yet, or are you just doing like the basics?
See, ribsies, a lot of that pulled pork stuff. Briskets on coming up one of these weekends, and I'm like,
brisket's that like hard one that you have to like
spend a good amount of time for.
Yeah, get just right.
It's also kind of expensive. I'm like, ooh, how much is that? $50? I don't know.
Spend like $50 to fuck it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much like my form of meal prep at this point. It's like on Saturday or Sunday, I'll make, barbecue always makes tons and tons of food. So I'll like, all right, cool. Package all of it up, like all the pulled pork or whole chicken or something like that. And I'll be eating until Wednesday or Thursday. And I'm good to go.
That's awesome.
That's been a lot of what I do. Play some video games here and there with people.
So tell me about last year. We almost ran into each other.
Almost, yeah. We made the trip. We made the trip out to Buffalo.
Why did you just do it just for that show, or did you were just like, I'm gonna go fucking across the country to see this show?
Yeah, we're going across the country to go see this show because
more than one show
to go. Yeah, it was,
both nights, right?
Yeah, we went both nights. Yeah, we were making a trip out there, so we're gonna make the trip count. Never been to Buffalo before. So
everybody knows it was the Every Time I Die Christmas show, which is like a big deal around here. Well, it's a big deal apparently for people in California too.
Big deal for everybody. Our plane. We got on the plane, looked around. You're going there. You're going to the season. You're going there. Everybody knew.
That's so awesome.
And then as we were kind of exploring the city,
for us, it's like locals. You know what I mean? It's like local bands every year. Like we've gone a ton of times. But it was like our Christmas, like what we would do as a Christmas party for like the shop. It was like, let's go to Buffalo, eat. We would always say like 50 wing challenge. Like everybody has to eat like 50 wings or whatever. And then we would go to the show and it was just like, it's just so awesome. But like every year now it's so much bigger. It's like a bigger venue, bigger thing. Before it used to just be in like, it was just at like a small venue where like everybody was so fucking crammed into one room. And now it's like, we went last year and it was just like, Jesus, like this is like an arena.
Yeah. That whole place, it's got like ice skating rinks outside. It's got like 4 bars in there. It's got all like this like event center. And I'm like, this is
now
what
they're
it's grown into.
Now they're doing like wrestling.
Yeah.
And like, multiple day events. Like it used to be like 2 nights. It was like Friday and Saturday night. Like if you missed out on Friday, you could try to get tickets for Saturday. But no, it was awesome. It was fun. And it was funny. You were texting me. You're like, I'm over here. And I was like, I have no
Yeah, I was like, I just happened to look up and I was like, oh, I see you. Like you were up on the top balcony, I was like downstairs, like one. I was like, oh, there. Cool.
So let me get this straight. So you go there, you eat 50 wings, you wrestle, and then you go to the show.
I don't wrestle.
How do you like? Did you throw up everywhere? Like there's just no way.
I don't think we've ever fully eaten 50 wings. You go starving yourself thinking you're going to eat 50 wings. And then like, it's much easier to eat 50 good chicken wings than it is to go somewhere and be disappointed at how the chicken wings are. So like if they were like good,
dry and crunchy.
Well, that's the thing is I like extra crispy wings, and like that's like the Buffalo style is like shaken in sauce and then not sitting in sauce. Like the problem with a lot of places around here is they think like, oh, let's make chicken wings, and then they pour sauce all over it and leave it in a styrofoam container sitting in sauce. And then when you open the container up, the wings are like soggy and fucking gross and they're not crispy or anything. So it's like going up there, you just got to find like a really good wing place. And I feel like I could easily eat like I think we usually get like 24 wings or more per person, and like 2 different flavors or whatever. But like I could eat probably like 40 to 50 wings if I really wanted to, if they were like good wings. But last year,
yeah,
right. And last year we ended up going to the Anchor Bar, which is supposed to be like the place that invented the chicken wing. And it was like, I wasn't that impressed, honestly. It just tasted
Disappointed.
Yeah, it was like you go to a place thinking like, holy shit, like this is the holy grail of chicken wings.
How far is Buffalo from you guys?
Great. Like 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just make the drive and drive back that night, or did you guys stay in Buffalo?
No, we always drive back.
Damn. That was a late night too. Like ended like what, midnight?
Yeah. Usually the problem is that you go and it's the middle of winter and like you go to the show, you don't wear a jacket going in because you're going to fucking sweat your balls off inside. And then you're soaked in sweat by the time you leave. Well, nowadays, like I said, in the big places, you don't really have to do that. We had like hoodies and stuff on this year, but normally we're like in a pit of people. Like it's 1,000 degrees in there because it's just body heat heating the building. And then you leave and you're like soaking wet. And it's like, cool. There's a 3.5 hour drive home soaking wet at 2 a.m.
Second night we walked back to our hotel because like trying to get a ride out of there was near impossible. So we just walked like 45 minutes. Yeah, that was fun. Our little California bodies were just like, okay. And now like it was snowing too that night. We're like, oh, this is not fun.
It was like ISS 2 years ago. We went and we were there in LA and it was, like 75, 80 degrees or something. And we were like shorts, t-shirt, like fucking sun shining. It's beautiful. We got home. It's a really long flight too, from there to here. And we finally get home. It was like 1 a.m. or whatever. And there was like 3 feet of snow on the ground and it was -10. And it was like, oh, welcome home. And the best part was I parked in the outside parking lot, not in the parking garage either. So like my car was 100% buried. But yeah.
All right, Rick, this is, I think we've come to one of our favorite parts of the show. Right. And I feel like if anybody is going to have some good shop hacks, it's going to be you.
Good shop hacks.
You just you had to put him up here.
Well, we've messaged back and forth a lot of different times and about this kind of stuff over a year or whatever, different stuff. And so he's always got good ones. So no pressure.
All right.
No pressure.
You just fucking, he's going to be like registration marks.
Registration marks. Use them. They're great. They help. See, one of them is if you're like running like an auto or even like your manual by yourself and you don't have somebody catching the back, like sometimes you can back up into the dryer and you have to like kind of keep checking back to make sure it's not backing up into the dryer. Yeah, you can get like, those big, like the security mirrors that are like the convex ones or something like that. Just mount it somewhere in the back of the shop, especially if you're on an auto, that we don't have to like stop. Where you just
that is a good one.
You give a little glance back and go, oh yeah, no, we're still good. Or
I totally forgot.
We're close. Go over there.
That even is a thing, like backing up, because that has happened to me years ago. Like you said, it fills the box, and then all of a sudden they start running, and there's a jam, and next thing you know, there's like smoke.
Smoke. Oh no. Yeah.
So, oh my God, I didn't, but somebody caught a shirt on fire on Friday. So we moved, and it's been a long time. We moved this press over to our other dryer, and now that it's over there's more space. And so before there wasn't enough space to use a Chili D, we had to use Takana, which is that in-head quartz flash. Well, we took the Takana out and then rolled a Chili D into it. And the Chili D that we had was set up for the Cobra. And so its height was here, right? Well, this new press, the pallets go up and down. And,
it was like right underneath the flash.
It went up. And so they sent 2 shirts around, and the first one shows up on like the offload station. It was like, oh, that looks pretty good, and then the next one comes, all of a sudden they hear pop and the screen popped and the index is over and it's smoking. And they're like, oh shit. So I saw the last part of it, like the very end of the whole fire. But yeah, have you ever done that? Like burnt with your flash, caught a shirt on fire?
I don't know if we've actually caught a shirt on
tri-blends.
Yeah, we've definitely scorched the shit out of some shirts before. Yeah. We had a guy, again, this goes back to training and like not knowing what you're doing or whatever, but we had a guy that I think he was here maybe like 2 weeks and he was learning on the press, and he Same thing. It was on the Sportsman that goes, up and down or whatever. And he like taped off some registration marks or something on a screen, but he left the tape, the roll of tape on the pallet, and it went underneath the flash and came up, and it crushed all the bulbs.
Oh,
It was just such a loud noise too, because it went over, and they were turning on because it was like coming underneath it from the motion sensor. And as soon as it got under, it came up and it just like shattered the bulbs. And I was just like, cool. That's a cheap fix.
Yeah, that's one of those ones. I don't even know how much they cost, because I never thought I was going to have to replace them. Thanks.
They're expensive. And we didn't obviously have extras sitting around. So I had to order them and then come back. So I think with that flash, we were just down. You know what I mean? Just because he left a roll of tape on the pallet.
The other one I got here, we tape our screens with different colors because we have the roller frames. So each mesh count has its own color, like 200s are red, 156s are green, 230s white. That way, like, you don't have to read it or anything. I can open up the dark room, like knowing like, I have a couple jobs in it. I'm going to need this, and this. I can pop open like, I know I got enough for tomorrow, or no more. I got to do some reclaim before I go home tonight or something like that. But it just makes it easy just to visually see what colors you have, especially like when we had like the static frames, the numbers would eventually get worn off and stuff like that. So then you're like, what is this? And you do like the fingernail trick to kind of be like, pretty sure this is a 110, I think. So that was like one of them that we do. The other one we got is, I have like a shirt loading technique. I don't know, maybe everybody does it this way, but it like makes it so, you guys get like the little, you can get like the spray web can end up on the back of like on the bottom of the hoodies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have my shirt here. If you do
Just
like
talked about this like last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was.
Twice.
So when you grab the shirt, we open them. So it's like linked on your pinky and thumbs. So it has this big giant opening. And once you get practice, it's like, this is how I just grab shirts anyway now.
So you have super muscular pinky and thumbs, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I just use it like this, because then also it doesn't catch, like if you have like a really sticky platen, it just goes right onto it, and then you just kind of set it on, and then you can just make your one.
What happens if it catches and you break your pinky?
Don't catch it.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it stays pretty wide. I mean, I also have like pretty big hands to begin with, but I started training all my employees with that stuff too, and then they all were able to like go pretty quick because you don't have like that. You see people get on there, it gets caught on its way in.
Yeah.
On there and stuff like that. So that was like, this is like our loading technique, is just open it up like that. That we have a giant open spot.
That's just when you're using when you're using Webbit.
Or all.
I do it up for all of them all the time, but it also just helps that way we don't have to worry about the web stuff ever catching.
So basically your hands look like Ninja Turtle fingers because they're so muscular and big now.
Yeah. Well, once you get like the hang of it, that's how we just grab them. You just go like this and it's on your hand. It just kind of like sticks on.
No, that's cool. No, I like it.
That one's fun. We can load pretty quick with it too. Like, since it's only one pull back and maybe a turn if you're on it, but you can feel like because your finger usually lands on the center line, the center seam. So you can like kind of run your hand on the center, so it's straight.
It's awesome.
It's like
you're like the first guy to give us like 3 good ones we've never heard of before. You're right, Andy.
Well, Andy talked me up, and I
put him here, and he delivered.
Yeah, I had a feeling I did.
We can print inside pockets. Do you guys ever print inside pockets? Like
you do the little flip thing.
Yeah, like we flip them inside out. So we were trying to figure out, because we have a couple customers, like this customer, that'll challenge us with, "Hey, we want to do this. Do you know how to do it?" And we're always like,
"We'll figure it out.
Let me get back to you tomorrow. Let me problem solve it." And they're like cool with like experimenting with us.
Yeah.
Okay, if you just take your shirt, you flip it inside out and load it through the neck, you can load it onto your pallet, make your sleeve platen like this, and then you can print.
So do that again, slower but closer to the camera.
Okay.
Chad,
I've always seen it. I've always seen it where they basically, I'm trying to think, you load it on the sleeve pallet and then flip it back while it's on.
Yeah, so I'll put my hand through the neck right here,
Yeah.
And then I'll grab like the kind of the bottom of the pocket area, and then you just flip it inside out.
Oh.
And then,
Oh, that's pretty slick.
So you can do like a decent sized print in there then.
Yeah.
yeah, they had one event that was like a winter formal event kind of thing. They were gonna like, do like different high school dances for their brewery, like themed, not actual high schools. And they wanted a boutonniere coming out of this pocket. So we printed like, and inside had like all this little stuff in here, but then out the top of it came out like the little boutonniere. So it looked like you had like a little flower coming out of your pocket, and you just load it like that on, like my hand would be the plot.
How fast can you do them on press?
Pretty quick. Like, especially if you're running it by yourself anyway.
Show me real quick. Run a 50-piece job. Let's see how fast it is.
We're 50 piece real quick. Yeah, let me go change all the buttons real fast.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably my favorite tonight. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Pop it up and like that off thing and just send it through the dryer.
Like a sock.
Yep. And then when the person gets to the end, you just drop it in. But then you get a little.
I always figured when they went so deep into the pocket that it was like
Sewn.
before it was sewn on, you know?
Probably. For like all the big companies doing it, I mean, that would make the most sense.
You ever see the video of them sewing pockets on?
Mhm.
It's pretty awesome. There's just like a jig that like they have the shirt and then they put the pocket on it, and there's just a jig that like does like the U with the point on it for the pocket, and it just like sews it on super fast. And it's like, that's so fucking cool.
All right. Well, those are 4 outstanding hacks.
I think
Now
those are
you
my
better have really good questions for us.
really good questions.
If I know anything, I know you're going to have these top-notch questions for us.
Let's see if Dylan's going to be right here.
I'm going to be horribly wrong. He's like, what is a squeegee?
So if you guys are loading shirts, do you guys load it, or like when you stack your shirts up? If you're printing the front of the shirt, what shirt side is facing up on your stack? You're going to be printing on the front.
The front for us. The front.
Yeah, the front.
Oh, okay. I have them facing down. Yeah, mine are all facing down. So
Dude, there's so many different ways I've seen people do it, like the cart being opposite way, or you know what I mean? Like if the shirt is facing you, or if it's on your right or left, even if you're right or left-handed. I feel like it's just like you said earlier with the pinky and the thumb. It's like whatever's comfortable for you and whatever works for you. As long as that shirt is straight and you're doing it fast, like do whatever works.
Yeah, I always used to run it with them facing up, and then I saw somebody talking about like doing it face down one time, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like trying to figure it out, like the sign, like this way, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I started getting faster doing it that way. I was like, all right, we're gonna stick with that.
One, I have a feeling shirts are going to get fucked up if we did that ever, because if the shirt is facing up and it's on a cart, that's getting a front. If the shirt's facing down and it's on a cart, then it's getting it back. So we would probably mess something up. But I like that, and it's personal preference. I get it. But on like a what am I
use your words, bud.
Hold on.
Sign me. I'll figure it out.
On a like on the same note as that, we just had this discussion yesterday. Is that how do you stack your cart? Do you stack it from largest sized on bottom and up to the smallest on top, or vice versa?
I try to do biggest last.
Yeah.
Because I normally don't, if it's only small through extra large, I don't really care. But if it's a double XLs, because they take a little more messing with, I'd rather do that towards the end.
So the reason why I ask is, so they right now it's carted so that it's the biggest on bottom, smallest on top on the cart. So they start sending the smalls down the dryer. What ends up happening is those go into the boxes first. And if you're not doing full cases or whatever, you're going to have a small, medium, large, extra large on top of the small. And so it's just a weird pyramid inside of a box. But
so we do that. We do that when he checks stuff in, like when he's doing receiving, when he boxes them up for the press operator to grab the box and bring it out. He's doing it opposite. He's doing smalls on the bottom, 2X's on top. Mm-hmm. So that way, when he takes it over the cart and takes it off out of the box, he's doing 2X's on the bottom and so on. And then you end up with smalls on the top.
I like that.
So that way, when it comes through the dryer, they're doing it in the box to the customer with 2X on the bottom, small at the top.
Well, I think, another thing with that is that we never like having the smallest shirt on top. You never want to test. You never want your first shirt or your first few shirts to be the biggest shirt, like a plus size, like a 2X, 3X, 4X, because those are more expensive. And so we always have those separate, And so, yeah,
That's
I always,
a good way to look at it too. I've never looked at it that way.
If you're going to mess up a shirt,
you don't want to fuck up the expensive ones.
You don't want to spend the expensive ones and the ones that are hard to get.
Right. Well, now, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
All right. So,
next
you got
one.
some more? Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I've been writing down all week. When you guys are, because you guys both have the CTS stuff, and you pretty much aren't messing with after you try lock all your stuff. You're not messing with registration too much.
Not too much. If we are, it's very minimal.
So if you guys have a color, say one of the screens has to be a color change. Do you guys actually stop the press, clean out the screen, and wipe it out, or do you guys just put in a new screen and just re-click them all in real quick?
We just take out, like, say if it's, number 5 in your line or whatever, we just take that screen out, put the tri-lock back on, tri-lock that one again, and it should be registered again.
That was what I was thinking.
We used to like
cleaning screens out.
We used to, like, for the first 5 years or whatever, we used to like scrub back when we were manually printing, we used to like spray the screen, clean the ink out, use the same screen. You're trying to be cheap. You're trying to do whatever. Nowadays, if there's an ink change, that ink change fee they're paying for is basically just, we make another screen. So there's no cleaning. They just take it out, put a new one in, tri-lock it again, go right back to printing.
It comes down to, especially if you have a tri-lock. I mean, if I didn't have a tri-lock, I think I'm in the screen cleaning. If I have a tri-lock, then I'm putting a new screen in, because it comes down to press time at that point. Which is more expensive, 10 minutes cleaning out a screen or 5 minutes tri-syncing? Or
they didn't clean it that great and you get that marbling when you put the next color ink in.
They put in the wrong order and they're like, oh, now we're going to, it was always red. Now it's going to be white. And you're like, oh, that's going to be pink now.
Yeah. We make an extra screen because we just want to be the fastest we can be on press. And so it doesn't cost a lot for us to make a screen the way we've got it all down now. And so, yeah, I just want a screen. I want to swap it out and then go personally. So, yeah.
And we used to have like a customer who did like a lot of a fundraiser, and he had this panda print that had different sunglasses. Like he'd take pre-orders from all those people. So it was like green sunglasses, red sunglasses, yellow, whatever. And then he would give us a list of it. So we would just put in the one black screen, and then every head just had a different color. And then we would just turn on and off the heads and be like, all right, this set's going to be the greens. These sets are going to be the blues. Cool. And then I was like, I'm not cleaning these, because you'd come in like every week with this job and you have like a couple hundred every week. I'm like, yeah, we're not cleaning this.
Yeah. That's what's nice about having like the Cobra, the Gauntlet too, is that like if you have a 14 color press, you can set up multiple jobs. Or if, like you said, if you have a 200 piece run and every 50 shirts is a different color, like they did, 4 different ink changes, then you could do like, head 1 is one color, head 4 is another color, 5, 6, 7, whatever you want to do. Then, because you don't have to worry about this every screen coming up. The screen only comes down when it's printing. So you don't have to worry about like touching anything or doing anything weird. So you could test print every single one. And then when it comes to the job, just go ahead and run all of them, or set up multiple jobs.
That's what I do on this right now. Like, because now we just got our tri-lock for this guy this week. And I just set up like the fronts and backs all at once. Like our flash stays in head 3. I rarely put it in 2. So that way I can put the front and back underbase in there. Cool. And then on the back side over here on 7 and 8, I'll put in like the top colors, and just that way one time to load the tri-lock on and we're good to go, or whatever they call it, whatever Anatole calls their tri-lock.
So it is an Anatole one.
It is an Anatole one that we had to modify to fit our press, because I guess
they make it only for certain presses.
I don't know, but like on the screen holders on ours, on the left side, it's longer, and that's where the blocks are.
Right.
So if it goes up, it was going to hit the thing. So their fix was, take an angle grinder and cut off part of that arm on the back. And I was like, that's not happening.
Right.
Because there's 8 arms and I don't want all that metal shavings in there. But since I've used a tri-lock before, I knew how like there was like just screws, and you guys looks like the same thing. So what I did, I was on the phone with the tech for a while trying to figure out, because they weren't hearing me when I was like, can we just flip it? So we took the bracket off the bottom, put it on the top side, and then took all the blocks, put them on the bottom side. That way it flipped it. And then it fits
And
fine
so-
on the right.
I guess you did the same thing on your exposure unit then?
We put ours off the exposure unit. So we have like a platen in the middle of that, like the master frame or whatever it's called. And then we put the screen face down in there and then line up the films that way. So, and then that way they tape directly to the screen and then just throw them on the exposure unit.
Okay. There's too many flipping for me to get this in my mind.
I think I got it. You're just using the upside down part for like a light, like a work light to tape or something.
Yeah. So instead of using those carrier sheets that are expensive for one, and also like I learned this from this shop around here. But yeah, he's like they twist when the vacuum kicks in, it'll move the film when it sucks down. So that's why it doesn't always work. As well as like when you have a CTS machine. So what he showed me was like he had like this platen that he built and had like all his lines drawn on it, and that was like his grid. And then he had the master frame around it, and then you just instead of loading it in like how you normally load it down, you just have it upside down. That way you can sit there and tape your screen directly, your film directly to your screen, and then it's just like normally throw it on there. It's good to go. So it's completely off of our registration unit. I mean our exposure unit.
Well, we've had this discussion like a million times already on this podcast, but I'm just going to say the answer to your question is buy a CTS.
Well, yeah, that would be great, but we're out of room. That's not happening. And once I start hearing about like, oh, it needs to be humidity controlled and stuff. I mean, like we built our dark room. It's just like 2x4s and some plywood.
Well, you do and you don't. It depends on which one you go with.
And also where you are. So I don't know about your, like the environment in California or in Southern California, how wet.
It also depends on your emulsion. There's a lot of factors.
Yeah, we're working on getting new emulsion in here. Ours is breaking down too fast.
Yeah. So that was the thing is like we had an emulsion that we used for years and years that we really liked. And then when we went to CTS, it was like, nope, we tried like 10 different ones because we were having issues with humidity. And that you basically need to find one that works in your heat and humidity that the actual ink will adhere to without like spidering out or having, cracking or weird, like dry desert looking issues. Or you can go wax and it's a lot more forgiving in those situations. So
it seems like you're the kind of guy that would know, but generally if you're having emulsion breakdown, that's an underexposure issue, but you've probably checked.
Yeah, I'm trying to dial it in. Yeah, but it's like I'm so close to like overexposing and underexposing, and it's like I'm still coating my hand. I don't have like a Unicode, so I mean, could be varying just how was my hand doing that day, So it's just kind of right in that line. So we're getting Diazo to go back to that method. That way, kind of open it up a little bit on the next batch of. I've just been killing off whatever we have here, and it's just breaking down on the sides of the where the squeegee runs, the corners. That's where it's been breaking down lately, and I can't get it to stop.
Are your so the corners of your squeegee, do you round them? Are they rounded?
Yeah, they're rounded down, but still sometimes they're a little.
Are they wider than your pallets?
No, they're 16-inch pallets, 16-inch blades.
Because I'm trying to think like why it would happen. It's almost as if like when you lock in your squeegee, you're getting a pressure marker. You're going over your pallet slightly. I've had that happen before. That's why I say this is like I've had breakdown right that follow the edge of that pallet. And,
yeah, that's pretty much right. It is. It's right on the edge of the pallet. So I don't know if maybe that could be it is, since it doesn't have like as easy to like tell exactly where center is on these ones. Like I just kind of says Anatole on them on the holder, and then there's that middle bolt. So I kind of be like, it's right in there. Click it in.
So is it happening on both sides? Like both sides or just one side?
Usually one side, sometimes both sides, depending on how it's going.
If it's one side, I bet you it is. Maybe that it's over the edge of the pallet. This could be
over it a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll try and compensate a little bit and double check it on Monday. Like, get over there a little. Yeah, get over there.
Or just too much pressure too, or not enough ink.
Yeah. This one has those like you adjust the pressure with the little twisty things on the top,
right?
And it doesn't have like that gauge on the front that I've been used to to do the pressure. So I'm still getting used to that. Like we've had it since October, and it's just not as easy for me to do it because it doesn't exactly line up to be exactly the same. Even when I talked to Anton, I was like, if I have it 10 over here, this one needs to be like a 12. And like, oh, sometimes they're manufactured a little differently. I'm like, okay.
I've got a shop hack for you, but I didn't come up with it. It's the new style of squeegees and flood bars. So M&R now ships their squeegees and flood bars with it's like a routed little line. So it's like a little maybe
Where
half
dead
inch
center
line
is.
where dead center is on that squeegee and also the flood bar. And then when you, where you lock them down, like on the squeegee and flood bar holders on the press, there's a little circle.
Like
a little dot. And so you just come with that line and you never look, you know what I mean? You just lock in.
You could potentially do that with like a little scoring tool.
That's what I was just going to say is like
on your thing.
Shop hack, you could probably use a Sharpie, honestly, you know, like maybe on the, it wouldn't be permanent, but you know, if you were just trying it out, then maybe it would need a Sharpie. Mm-hmm.
You get a little engraver tool and just like tap it.
Yeah. Put your initials in there.
Just take a drill and just a little bit of a hole just so you can see it.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question.
Okay. Next one. What is a bad screen printing habit you have?
Oh my gosh. See, I had that question for you coming up. Not screen printing habit. I have a quick take. So we're on the same page, man.
All right.
Bad screen. You go first, Dylan.
I feel like one of the ones that I run into the most is, and this might have been mostly back when we were using Willflex stuff and we were having opacity issues with certain inks, is depending on the operator or the job or what the print looked like, I would really like to see 2 passes of that color versus 1 pass of that color. Even though it has a decent lay down, sometimes it was like too translucent and it didn't like, you know, it didn't lay down like a thick enough color. We ran into a couple times with like a royal blue where the customer specifically wanted a Pantone of a royal blue. And when we printed it on press, normally we would be like, oh, 1 pass of this looks good. It's covered. But realistically, it was thin to where it changed the color of the Pantone because it was more white underbase was brightening up the color rather than having a good lay down of ink. So I feel like that's kind of like something I personally look at things and I'm like, man, I wish we would have done 2 passes on this color, or, you know, it's not like it's not like white's popping out anywhere. It's not like it's super heathery looking. It's just not as, you know, thick or consistent as I want it to be. I don't know if I want to say thick, but you know what I mean? It's just like, it could have been a little bit better of a laydown. That's probably my only thing I can think of right now. Because in general, I would say like cleanliness, but everybody here is super clean when it comes to the shop. So
you're forgetting that Dylan is nearly perfect. I mean, I was going to say perfect. He's pretty perfect. Like there's not a whole lot of bad habits going on there.
You give that interview, like, what's your weakness? I'm like, sometimes too much of a perfectionist.
Right.
Like I asked him what he did wrong all of last year, and he couldn't come up with anything.
I don't like realistically, I mean, shit happens, but it's not something that consistently happens. And if it does consistently happen, we fucking fix it. Yeah. We don't just like ride it out.
I tried to think of bad habits because it seems like I've been doing this for so long that I've tried to get, like you just said, I've tried to fix all of my bad habits over the years, you know, with
I can't say much either though, because I'm not a printer. So like, I don't want to be like, yeah, they fuck this up all the time. And it's like,
I mean, I don't know. That's fair to say. Like maybe your shop's bad habit. I mean, I think that's fair.
I guess. Yeah.
Because if there's a bad habit in your shop, it's your fault, you know, like it's,
right. I need to go out and crack the whip.
That's right.
Fingers.
Personally though, like a bad habit of mine when I'm printing, it would probably be, that I would grab a can of adhesive rather than sometimes grab a can of adhesive being lazy rather than roll tack or, you know, pallet adhesive, 14 pallets. Like if you got to stop, like if I'm running or something, I'm like, we need to get all 14 pallets again. I guess I'd do it. But I also, at the same time, if I'm lazy or there's a few left, I'm like, let's just spray the rest or something. And I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. you shouldn't spray at all. Like, that should just get rid of the cans altogether, right?
Yeah, we got
And then
rid of
there's-
all of ours.
And then you can't do that bad habit. It's kind of like if you're trying to quit drinking and you have beer right there, well, then maybe you're going to drink it. It's probably a good idea to get rid of
Andy,
it.
do you have a beer right there?
Maybe I do, but it's not a bad habit. It's just one beer. Yeah. So that would be, I grab a can of adhesive when I shouldn't. Bad habit.
I have a problem remembering to lid up the inks at the end of the day. I'm like, leave them out too much. And starts affecting them a little bit.
Well, there's a really cool shop hack with the old
Suction cups.
Yeah, suction cup.
Suction cup things.
They were pretty good.
I keep my like 5-gallon one, like a white, all like lit it up. It's like that quart one that I carry around for like actually pulling out of there. It does that. And like one time I got reamed by a CCI rep. That was a fun day. He came into our shop like with our rep, and like his boss came in. And they were like, "Oh, hey, just doing the random drop by." And we're like, "Cool." And then he just went around the shop and like told me everything I was doing wrong. Like it was
That's
brutal.
such a dick move.
I'm like, I think he meant it like out of like being like helpful
I know,
kind of thing.
I know, but they like to come around like a fucking hoity-toity and be like, "You're beneath me."
Yeah, and then I was just like, bro, like his our rep was just kind of sitting there like this, like, and the guy's like, "Well, why are all your inks not lit up? Like, don't you know?" And then like, all the plasticizers can evaporate, and then like lint will get in there, and you're printing with lint. And I was like, okay. And then like the way we had like our dryer set up, and like we didn't have like a table next to it, so you need to have a table next to your dryer. That way, when you pull it off, you can like just fold up and send them back up to the front if there's a front or a second side to it, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. When he left, like even all my employees just went like, "So that was brutal." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go home now. I'm done."
I mean, it's nice.
But then I have to learn.
It's nice when a rep comes in and like gives you constructive criticism, but usually it's like, "Hey, I know you're making," like they start off with like, "I know you're making really cool prints, but you should have a little bit more like of an EOM on this," or, you know, "What do you think about this ink versus this ink," or something like that. It's not like, "Well, that looks like shit."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I appreciate that when they come in, because I mean, you can't know everything. Like you can't know, like when you learn how to print, you learn. It's the same with scheduling and systems and all this other stuff. It's like you learn how to do it one way and it totally works, and you're like, "This is fine. I've never had any issues. Customers love it." And then somebody comes in who's like, they don't print it all. They're just salesmen that have a book, and they're like, "This is how it should be done. There's no other fucking way you could do it ever." And they come in and they're like, "Oh, by the book, it should be this and this and this." And it's like, well, have you ever actually fucking printed a shirt?
Yeah.
Like, shut up and go away. Like,
And, you know, you're all like in the perfect world, this is the way you should do it. I'm like, yeah, but not everybody has the perfect world shop set up.
my favorite is when everybody's like, "You should never surpass like 30 pounds of pressure on your press for any color. It should be perfectly." I'm like, no. Like
No.
you run it until it clears the screen, and then that's the pressure like it should be at.
Yeah.
Like, don't be like, if it's not 30, you're fucked, and it's going to be the worst laydown and all this other stuff. And it's like, I get to a point, yeah, you should have the least amount of pressure you can, but don't tell me it should be 30 or we're doing it wrong. It's like, it's not how it works.
Yeah, we have our new CCI rep here, and he's a super nice guy. He comes by, drops off stuff because they're close by. So like anytime you order it, it's like a personal delivery kind of thing in his truck. And then he comes and checks out, and he's like, "Oh, try out this chemical or try out this one." All right, cool, great. And then if he sees like the size of our shop, he's like, "Man, you guys are really crammed in here." Well, doing the best you can. See you later. Cool, that's all I need.
Right.
Yeah, it made me think about it. So I remember listening to you guys talk to somebody, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, saying like, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice to have like another printer come into your shop and like he kind of critiques what you're doing, and then you go to his shop and critique what he's doing," because it's just maybe you just didn't think of how to get from A to D like in that way. Maybe
that's our favorite thing about this podcast is talking to somebody like you and be like, "Oh, how do you do this thing?" And you're like, "Oh, fuck, like that makes total sense. Like, why would we not do it that way?"
I think when we go do that though, when we actually, it's going to be me and you, Dylan, and then TC maybe.
People don't know about this, but me and Andy are doing fucking road tours apparently.
But when we actually do this, we're going to go into the shop and just like Gordon Ramsay style, like scream at you.
Just throw things around, shut it down.
Like, I can't believe you don't have convex mirrors at the end of your fucking dryer. You know, like scream at them.
Right. I'm just gonna horse.
Shut
I'm
this
just gonna.
down.
I'm just gonna horse kick all their screens.
Go with the attention meter on every single one of them.
Right. This was at 14. Fuck, kick right through it.
Throw it out, twisted and everything. Like, what could have gotten it restretched? No, it's not from Frank.
Yeah. Oh, this ain't from Frank.
Yeah, our tour is going to be really short.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like looking forward. I was like hoping an ISS came out like the way I would, like, oh, like see you guys or something. But yeah, that wasn't going to happen. They're like, oh, it'll be in April. I was like,
I'm really shooting for Fort Worth.
Yeah.
I hope it works out enough to where we can go to that. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, more questions, or we should go to the quick takes?
You could be like Tony and have a notebook full.
I guess I'm trying to see which one. Do you guys like to buy from distributors or buy directly from like the company? Like,
I feel like nowadays,
manufacturer, or directly from like PMI, or go through NASDAR or Ryonet or whoever.
I feel like nowadays we end up ordering more from distributors because we found really good relationships with some of them, like Frank at GSF, or Easyway, directly from Easyway, or Monarch, like ordering it from them. So, but other than that, I mean, the only thing I'm really ordering from any distros is like apparel.
Yeah. Everything else is direct.
Everything else is pretty much direct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's some you have to though.
That.
Like there's some that don't. They only sell through distributors. You can't just order direct. But so we order most of our, we order all of our apparel through distributors, and then some of our supplies through a distributor, and then the rest is direct because some of them we have sponsorships with and stuff like that. So,
like I just bought PMI tape, and I had to buy it from NASDAR. We got some tape from our local distributor. I won't name them, but it was garbage. Like we couldn't take off the screen. Like it would just splinter and leave all over it. Like we eventually,
what kind of tape?
It was a white tape, and it was supposed to be like when I ordered it, PMI tape. But then we got it, and I was like, I thought PMI said it on the inside of the roll. All right, whatever. But then it just was like, it's not coming off the screen. And like eventually, like, we have some rolls left of it. I'm just throwing it away. Like it was such a miserable nightmare that I was like, I'm just buying the split tape, even though that's even more expensive than anything else. I'm like, I'm just going to have a time that it's like nice to do.
How are you liking it?
Oh, I like it. I love it. I've used it before, like a sample roll, but then I was like, I'll order it again. But we ordered it from NASDAR, but it looked like on their site, it only had high tack version. I was like, I guess they're all high tack. Then we got it, and it's like a different color. It's like the clear one. It looks like that easy split version. So I was like, oh no, did I just buy like a ton of rolls of like the split, like just the easy tear, when I was like really wanting the other ones? But then it just was like a high tack version, but it releases from the screen. It doesn't like have any issues or anything. It comes right off. I can go to reclaim in like 10 seconds. So yeah, I'm starting to order more directly from people like CCI, since they're here in Corona. It's easier for us just to say, hey, can you bring us a couple gallons of that?
That's one thing I wish I did, was order directly from CCI, because I do have to order CCI from Ryonet right now. We use CCI for our discharge. So I don't think they have anything closer to us. Is California like their main hub?
I think it's their main hub, because it's like where all their guys are at. So at least the ones I know of. I don't know if they have like another one on the other.
Yeah. So the nice thing about ordering it from Ryonet is that they have like warehouses in like PA and stuff. So like I get it next day.
I've been trying to get them from like, look at Ryonet stuff, just to, like, if I had to pad an order with something else, but then it seems like they're moving away from using some of their, like the stuff I normally use from them. They have like the other brands of it. Yeah. So, all right. So, but now I have a good relationship with him. It's easy for me to text him like, hey, I need to get this, this, and this. And then the next day or so I'll have it.
Right.
So that's always nice.
Well, you got any more? Are we doing quick takes?
I think we can go to quick takes. Yeah. That's pretty much all I got.
Okay.
All right. Well, there's a bunch of quick takes. So,
all right.
What's your pre-workday ritual?
Pre-workday ritual?
Roll out of bed.
I have one.
And
roll out of bed. Yeah, roll in bed, show up at work, stop at Starbucks or one of the local coffee places, and that's about it. We open up.
You're
at
that
10.
guy. You're that guy like that kid in middle school who like puts his clothes on and goes to bed in them. So when he wakes up in the morning, all he's gonna do is roll out of bed, put his shoes on, leave.
Pretty much, I have my clothes like sit up on like a chair and everything. My bathroom door is like, if I step out of my bed, the next step is inside the bathroom. It's like the sink's right there. I'm like, all right, brush your teeth, do all the stuff. Go walk out. I'm like, go.
So what you're saying is you can brush your teeth at night and literally just fall backwards.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
be almost there.
That's
yeah.
baller.
And then that's about it. Like I said, we started like 10, and then so go till 6 or 7. But nothing really special in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I'm like a late night person.
Yeah, me
If
too.
you're starting at 10, then yeah, you're not a morning person.
Yeah, like sometimes we've been getting here like now I've been getting like at 9 or something earlier, but most of our people like need to pick up stuff after they get off. So they're always like, oh, we'll get there like after 5. Like, cool. If I started at 7, now I'm here till
We don't start till
6.
9.
Yeah.
And do you really start at 9, or you're still in the YouTube mode at 9? Is YouTube?
I get here at 8:00, 8:30, and I YouTube until 9.
Okay.
Well, fuck it. I don't care. I could be on YouTube all day if I want to be on YouTube. I'm the fucking boss.
Yeah.
We don't have walk-ins or anything, so we can do whatever we want, like really when we want. People mostly text us, oh, well, I'm on my way, because they know that there's only 2 of us and that sometimes we're gone doing this, or I have to go to pick up something from this distributor, go do something, whatever it is. So they know, like, don't just drop by because we might not be here.
All right. Next is best recent read.
Recent read. I haven't read a book in a while.
Well, then you should
wow.
join our book club.
Book
See how I
club?
worked that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
what the
we've got a book
fuck?
club. Come on, dude. Check this out. This is
First of
Oh,
all,
man, what-
dude, first of all, remember how I was telling you how in the last book I would play it for like Chris and Randy and Brian on our way to steak night?
Mhm.
They couldn't fucking stand the last one. They were like, dude, there's no way I could listen to this. How have you not killed yourself yet? This past Thursday, I put green lights on. I was like, hey guys, you want to listen to green lights? They fucking loved it and I loved it. And I'm pretty sure 3 of them bought the book that night.
Yes. You mean the audio?
Yeah.
It's good. How far are you, by the way?
I don't even know because it's not even like in chapter form. It's like
Yeah.
how
it's
many
got
times does
parts.
he put a bunch of random words together is when I know that it's like a new chapter.
Mm. I'm like halfway.
I just listened to the last part was where his son or his brother was gonna steal. He beat up his dad because they wanted to steal pipe together.
Oh yeah. Yep. His childhood, like his upbringing was nuts. It was wild.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
A
But
lot of it seems like my childhood. So that's why like my wife was like, you should definitely read this book. So I
like
love it. I love it so far. Like I'm super pumped on it.
so yeah, join our book club and then you'll have
All
a
right.
best recent read. You can answer this question next year.
It's good. It
All
really
right.
is good.
Oh yeah. So next question.
I got next one. Hold on. What's the best piece of advice you had when you were starting your business?
One of them,
Don't fuck it up.
yeah, don't mess up. It was I think it was from Ryan from RyanNet. And like it's like when somebody talks to you, like when they're trying to haggle price, and they're like, oh, like, well, the guy down the street that I used to use charged me less, and he's like, all you got to do is, then why are you here? And I was like, okay, I get that, because yeah, like obviously something is wrong there. So yeah, you're gonna pay my price, so you don't have to do that. Otherwise, why would you be shopping around if you didn't like
Right.
that? If you like that person, so
That's like one of the most gratifying things I feel like is being in sales is that asshole that says that. Because they're just trying to get you to like lower your price. My favorite part is telling them no. And then they go to that guy and then they call you a month later and say that guy fucking sucked. And then all their shirts got messed up. And then they're willing to pay whatever it is that you want to charge because that guy sucked.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the best. That's like, I literally float around the shop on those days. My feet don't touch the ground.
Yeah, that's we like doing is like, this is our pricing. Like most of our customers, like we've gotten to pretty much pick and choose our customers now. Is this like, they don't ask us for a discount. It's much more as we give them a price and they go, oh, that's a little on my budget. What can we do to make it cheaper? So like, oh, we can pick a different shirt. We could limit the colors. And they're like, oh, okay, we're good with that. Not just arbitrarily make it $1 less per shirt, please.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or whatever. So it's always pretty nice for that.
I feel like over the past couple years, like it's way less. Like we don't ever run into that anymore. I feel like when we were a business, and this is kind of advice, I guess, but like when we were a business early on and we were trying to get anything and everything, we were trying to be that printer that would, anything that walked through the door, any kind of business you were in, anything you were into, we would print. We were constantly doing that. We were constantly fighting the people who were like haggling and like trying to do this or 35 emails deep. And it's like, as soon as we decided to narrow our niche market and go exactly after the customers we wanted to, like 90% of that went out the window. It was like people were coming to us because they knew we did that kind of work. And then it was like, their usually email is like, hey, this is what I want. I need like 100 shirts, this design, this design, this design. We send them an invoice and then that day they pay. And then we talk to them again, like when they're like, I love the shirts.
Isn't that awesome how that works? Is that if you decide to not budge on your price, then your reputation is that like Upstate Merch, they do great work and that's their price. Like our reputation here is that we do great work and we're a little and we're a little on the pricier side. But if you end up here, you already know that and you're coming here for a reason. And so
it's the Starbucks effect.
I think you're right. I think that it has decreased. Like once we became confident and once we knew that our work was worthy of whatever price we're going to ask, then those people went away. Like the people that are trying to get a bargain don't come here. It's less.
And I'm totally fine with that. Because the people,
we don't do much
people that are willing
because of that.
And it's not like our prices are super high either. Like they're definitely competitive, whatever. But like the people who come here are generally, everybody's happy with what they're doing and they know what they want. And it weeds out all the riffraff. It weeds out all the people that are just like, trying to be difficult. So
a lot of our customers are all word of mouth. So we know that generally everyone's going to kind of float around with their own circle, like of like-minded people. So like, oh, this person told me, it's like, all right, cool. So we know you're probably going to be in the same boat as them, as like personality wise, and then like what to expect from us versus like that random person who comes in from across like down the street. Oh, hey, yeah, I'm starting my clothing line. Give me a deal. I'll take you with me. I'm like, we're good. See ya.
Yep.
So I've heard that story.
All right, man. What is one thing that you cannot live without in your personal life? You can't live without.
One thing I can't live without in my personal life.
Air, water.
Good answer, actually. Air. That's a good one, Dylan.
Air and water. Music stuff. I really like music. Play guitar and just enjoy that. Listen to music, all the new stuff. Well, I don't really listen to anything new anymore. That's all.
You know what's funny?
Like high school
and
stuff.
I'm gonna talk about Brian again. But his favorite thing, like he could sit in his office all day with zero sounds, like just no music, no nothing. Just, he always calls it shop sounds. Like when it's his pick to pick music in the shop, it'll be nothing. It'll just be the sound of the dryer, the sound of the press. He calls it shop sounds. And it's like, he just doesn't need it. Doesn't care. Like he likes music, but he just doesn't care to have it on during the day.
Is it noisy when he's at home? Like, does he have a busy, noisy family? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's just like,
right.
He just doesn't care to have anything on. And it's like, I literally have to have music on almost everywhere I am. Like even with this addition, like with the new shop and the new break room, that whole area, like there's that big open room now where like the couches and that big open floor area and all that. Like I had to add a Spotify account to my like family plan for just that room because I couldn't stand that it was quiet all day. Like no music playing. Like people could be playing music on their headphones in their offices, but the actual room itself was just quiet. So now I have like one of the Xboxes on and the TV on all day on Spotify, just on like radio. And it's just for like background noise in the office because I can't not have something playing. It weirds me out.
Our conveyor dryer, the fan on the exhaust and everything kind of whines a little bit. So if I don't have music playing, that's all I can hear and focus on. So I'm like, no, music's got to go on. And like our flash used to do it, and they sent us a new fan, like our manual flash. It was even higher pitched. And I was like, if I don't have music, I'm going to go crazy. Like it's just gnarly. And then also like the constant ringing in my ear. I'm like, I gotta drown that out.
Speaking of music, Dylan, what's that next question?
If you were in a boy band, what would its name be?
Yeah. In a boy band?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's not one I could think of on the spot.
I know. That's what I'm like. Oh, Andy, you go first.
Andy knows. Andy's been like, he's wanted to be in a boy band his whole life.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even think of one. I didn't know what I was supposed to answer.
The question.
Yeah.
You had no answer. You're just like, I want to know.
I don't know. That's a hard one for the spot.
Dylan, you got one?
Dude, no fucking way. I have no idea what I would be.
You don't have a name of your boy band?
No, I've never once in my entire life thought, if I'm going to be in a boy band, what would its name be?
Yeah, that's never crossed my mind. I'm like, no,
not ever.
Good. I don't want to be. Like, you want to be in a boy band? No, I'm good. I'm gonna go.
Well, but what if you were? Okay. All right. Throw the question. If you don't want, if you don't got anything, you don't got anything. I understand it. It's a tough one.
I can't think of anything on that one. That one's a tough one to figure out. If it comes to me, I'll let you know.
The Riks.
The Riks. The Rikzillas.
Yeah, that's it. All right, I'm going to ask the next question because that one didn't work out. What would you say is the best lesson that running a print shop has taught you?
Don't be a dick.
That's a good one, honestly. That one goes to Ryan.
Yep.
Ryan's got that tattooed on his forehead.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like a lot of our customers have come to us and they're like, hey, like this last person, they were they sucked at this job, and like, can you guys do this? And we're just generally likable people. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And like, we don't nickel and dime people. Like we understand some people's like event things just happen, and like, we're not going to be like, oh, well, it's only 4 days and not 5 days, so we know we're going to charge you a ton of money. We're just like, yeah, it's fine. It fits on the schedule. I'm not going to have to wait and do anything extra for it. It's fine. We'll take care of you.
I feel like me and Andy have that too, where it's just kind of, being a good person and a good dude in business and everything, and sharing things and whatever is kind of the best policy.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think screen printing too, like the industry in screen printing is a lot more open versus like the sign industry stuff, where like if you go on like the forums for the sign industry, somebody asks a question, everyone just like piles on to them. Like, how could you even not know this question? Like, you're so dumb.
That's
and
Facebook
it's like it's starting to getting a little better. But then like when I first started screen printing stuff, it was like t-shirt forums, I guess was like the thing. Yep. Everyone was generally pretty helpful kind of stuff. And then lately I've been in like one of those Facebook groups, it's generally everybody's open about their ideas, not like, oh, this is my trade secret. Like back off my stuff. Everyone's trying to like kind of help, and I'm not worried about someone taking my business around here, and I don't really care. My customers, if they want to leave, I did something wrong. I
feel like there's too many variables, and exactly what you said. If you're doing something wrong and somebody's trying to leave, then that's a whole different story. But generally, if you're a good person and you're trying to put out the best product you could put out, then it is what it is. Like, you should be able to keep your own clients and grow your company and everything like that. So,
and if they said they're like, oh, I'm gonna go over here, I'm like, all right, well, dang, I wonder what I did wrong. All
Sorry, we'll see you on the next one.
So yeah, if you do come back, all right, it's fine. We'll be here.
Andy, next one.
What would be your last meal?
My last meal?
Bread and butter.
Bread and butter.
I do love some good bread and butter.
That's like a joke here. It's not even my joke. It's Chris's, where like, I can't remember even how it came about, but somebody said, what's your favorite food to somebody? And he was like, bread and butter.
I think some kind of barbecue. I like tri-tip. That's like one of my favorites. Something just, big meal with like cornbread, coleslaw, all the fixings for a barbecue.
Oh yeah.
I'd be good. I'd be happy.
Yeah. That is a good one.
Something where you just eat like the copious amount of food kind of thing, where you just keep shoveling it in, like that kind of a meal.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Barbecue Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That style. Yep.
Thanksgiving would be mine. Like if I had an ideal favorite meal, it would just be Thanksgiving. Like if I had a Groundhog Day, I would want it to be Thanksgiving Day. And I would just have Thanksgiving over and over again.
It would be a good day.
Hell yeah, it would.
I'm with you.
Eat and nap every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. Go. Oh, that's a new brand you got there. Of tea.
Damn straight.
You never heard of this delicious nectar here, Gold Peak?
Huh.
Yeah.
Word is, what do you got?
I heard they don't stab you in the back either, so that's kind of nice.
Only out
I
of
heard
can,
it comes
though.
from I heard it comes from glaciers. Like the water from it comes directly from a melted glacier.
Yep.
Next question. Last question.
Ooh.
Before
the last question.
Before the last question.
So it's not the last question.
No, it's yours though.
Maybe I want to draw it out. There's a lot of fucking advice questions in here. What piece of advice would you give your 18-year-old self? Don't tug so hard.
My 18-year-old self?
Be in a boy band.
Yeah, think of a
Andy,
boy
come
band
on.
name now.
Tell us what
now,
your boy
because
band name is. I know you have
20 in 13 years. Somebody's going to ask you about a boy band, so think of it now.
Yep. No. So what is your what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Probably just whatever you're worried about right now. It just doesn't matter. It's all good. Like all your worries right now just aren't that big of a deal. Like when you get older, then you can start worrying about it. But like, don't worry about whatever people are doing around you.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't compete with the next person who's like, oh, they're doing this or you're doing that. Like I should be there in my life too. Just kind of go on your own pace. Enjoy the ride.
That's good advice.
I think I would kill myself that came back, steal his time machine, and then go back to when I was like 14 years old and tell my 14-year-old self to learn how to screen print then so that I had a leg up. Right. Because when I was 18, I was already in business. So
ready to go, yeah.
I was already a year in at that point. And I always thought then, like, if I would have fucking learned how to do this or got into this hobby earlier, I would have already been like a leg up on my competition at the time. I feel like you could always do that. You could always fight yourself and be like, oh, I should have done this earlier. I should have done this earlier. But realistically, I never thought I was going to get into screen printing. So it kind of was like just evolution of what happened to me happened at that period in time. So what I would have been like, you know, it would have been nice to have learned that stuff earlier on.
Yeah, when I first started, like at that print shop, like in the little back of the campus thing, I was like, man, if I had to keep printing the rest of my life, this would suck. I'd probably kill myself. And now I'm like,
Dylan had somebody tell him that before an employee walked in and told him that.
I would rather
I would kill myself.
I would rather not exist, live, anything than clean this screen. You know why though? It's probably because we didn't have Easy Way.
Yeah, you'd call that dude back up and have him come in now.
Yeah, be like, hey man, we got Easy Way now. So like, it's the easiest way.
Exactly.
I got to start re-looking at our reclaim chemistry stuff. Like we have some systems. I'm like, you know, it's like it works.
Well, when this is over, I'll give you Alex's number. He'll set you straight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm sure that.
All right, man. What's for dinner? That is the last question.
Dinner?
Yeah. What's for dinner?
For dinner? I think I'm gonna make some wings for tonight.
50
buffalo style.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go be like, I don't know. Give me a lot of it, and then for me and the roommates and stuff.
Give me all of your wings.
You know what? Like I'm that guy. I'm that guy recently. Like I never used to do this. I never used to have the balls to do this. But like recently, every time I order wings, I start asking for it. I'd be like, can I get flats only? You know what I mean? You don't want to be that guy and be like, can you sort my chicken wings? But like realistically, I really only like flats. I don't like like drumsticks. Which are you guys? Are you guys a flats guy or a drumstick guy?
I do like the flats because there's a little more of that skin stuff on there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but if they're extra crispy, then it's like crisped up. It's not like gooey.
It's all crisped up. That's true. Then I do like drumstick. I like the ease of it. Just done kind of thing.
I feel like the drumsticks always have like more like veiny shit in it.
Yeah, unless if you're trying to avoid, but you just can't. Yeah, that's all right. I like the ease of just being able to hold. It's like a little built-in holder.
You're that guy that just puts the end of the bone all the way in his mouth and just does this for a minute and pulls it out.
Pulls it out.
Everything's gone.
Yeah, suck the marrow out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Andy, what are you having? Chili? Oh, it's Saturday.
Right? This is all.
Dude,
messed
it's
up,
so
man.
fucked up.
It's all turned around. What do we do?
You're not even
all
eating
on us,
tonight,
yeah.
are you? You're fasting.
Hell no.
Fasting for Chili Sunday.
All I've had today was Cheerios. That's it so far. So I got to go and eat.
I've had a brookie or whatever those things, little brownie cookie things. That was it.
Brookie. Never heard of that.
Yeah, they're like brownie and cookie all baked together.
I've been at the shop since 8:00 this morning, and I haven't eaten anything other than a Red Baron frozen pizza that I had in the freezer. And I didn't want to eat it either because as soon as this podcast is over, Chris, Brian, and Bill are coming over and we're going to play Xbox probably till like 2 a.m. But one thing we make while we play is Red Barons. So I was like, I know if I eat this fucking Red Baron, I have to have Red Baron again in like 5 hours. But it was all I had. So that's what I made. And then Chris just texted me. He's like, hey, we having food tonight? And I was like, he's like, you getting them Barons? And I was like, I guess. So I'm just literally eating Red Baron all day today.
I have not had a Red Baron in a really long time. I don't know what do you get? What kind of Red Baron do you even get?
I get a Supreme and a pepperoni.
I made a gourmet pizza last night, Dylan.
Yeah, crust from Target.
Yeah, from Target.
Gourmet.
Are you just camped out at the shop tomorrow, waiting for whether or not to go to print?
I have a text set up with everybody on it that's down for tomorrow night, and we have like an informal plan of getting here at 9, but we'll just have to see. Like I just don't know. It's I was telling Dylan earlier that I've never done anything like this before. Like we printed for the Blues a couple of years ago, and it was a run up to the Cup. You know, like there's 7 games, for example, in each series, and so this is one game. You know, and you either print or you don't. And it's I've learned a lot from it. It was like a fire drill in a sense. Like in a lot of ways, I've learned a ton from it. We're completely set up over there right now. We've got shirts on carts. We've got stickers ready. We had a dry run like on Friday we just like faked it. We loaded the shirts and let them go down the dryer and acted like, you know, like just like a mock. It's going to be weird though, because I'm never up like that late. So, you know, we got to print consecutive, I guess 8 hours.
9.
So we'll see how it goes, man.
Damn.
It might kill me.
Is it pretty profitable? Like, do you like bid on something like that, or like how does that? Do they approach you, or do you go out and search for that?
They approached us and they sent over pricing, and they had no idea that I was in book club and that our first book was Never Split the Difference. So
you negotiated your way up.
Yeah. If they lose, like if the Chiefs lose, then
I honestly feel like if I was in your shoes, I would be 100% okay if they won or lost. If they lose, it's like, I feel better. Fuck it. We don't have to do it. Whatever.
Right.
But if they win, you're like, all right, let's do it. It's stressful, but when it's over, I'll feel good. And we did this thing, and it's like a once in a lifetime thing. Mm-hmm. Cool. We did it.
Yeah.
So
you know, when like you are going to have people over or a party, whatever, and you're like, oh, I gotta
your
do all
friend
this
breaks
stuff.
his leg and nobody can make it.
No, I just got to like get everything together. I've got to, whatever it takes, you know, prep for the party. Like you with your Red Baron pizzas. Mm-hmm. Well, it forced me to do that. So like it forced us to get ready for something like this, and I learned a lot through it. So like you said, if it happens that we print it tomorrow night, then cool. And if we don't, then cool, because it's a win-win. And on that note, man, it was great finally talking to you.
Into it. Yeah, it's been good. I'm finally talk face to face ish.
It really sucks Andy didn't record this whole episode though. So
Well, that's that.
Never again is that going to be on me, because before we start all the time, I'm like, Dylan, are we recording? And he's like, yeah. And I found out that you can see.
I get it now. You're using that. I see what you're doing. But yeah, hey, it's been awesome. Thanks for doing this with us on Saturday.
It was fun. Yeah. It was
Hopefully we didn't ruin your Saturday.
No, not at all. This is I had an open schedule for the weekend. So
Nice.
just you guys whenever you need it.
Appreciate those hacks. Those are some good ones, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys like them. I thought real hard, long and hard. I was like panicking. Like, oh no, what do we got? What do we do here? What do we do?
Yeah, you pretty much ruined the whole episode though by not coming up with a boy band name. So I don't know. Maybe we should just ditch this. Like,
Really disappointed.
Toss it.
we'll see. All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
See you guys. Have a good night.
Bye.